being on the other side. Yeah, okay. Welcome, everybody, to Monday, March 20. Notice a regular city council meeting. I'm glad to see everyone here. Thank you for coming. And at this time, I will call the meeting to order. Our invocation will be led by Councilman Dane Donegan of City Council.
Go up there, maybe.
No,
Yes.
you can do it.
Okay.
If you want to do it, no, you can go up there.
No, I'd rather do it
Okay.
here.
And our pledges will be led by Chief Joseph Cora. Please rise.
Did I please everybody rise? Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for letting us be here tonight in a city that still allows prayer in a group like this. Thank you for all the love you show us each and every day, the mercy you do for us. We ask you to look after the city, the firemen, the policemen. Take care of this big city. It's a growing city and we love it to death. We ask you to watch after it. Dear Heavenly Father, take care of the people that have lost loved ones, hug them and keep them in your grip. And just thank you for your mercy. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
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 Please join me on the pledges to the flags. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. At this time, we will have public comments and receipts of petition. Anyone will be allowed to speak on any matter other than personnel matters or matters under litigation for a length of time not to exceed 3 minutes. Now, council board discussion or action may take place on a matter until such matter has been placed on the agenda and posted in accordance with law. Tracy, anyone sign up to speak?
Amanda Kelly.
Please come forward, say your name and address.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Amanda Kelly. My address is 19710 Brooklyn Brook Lane, Tomball, Texas, 77375. And I am the market manager of Tomball Farmers Market. I'm here today just to say that you guys do an absolutely wonderful job. And I know there are really some tough things you guys have to vote on tonight. And I just wanted to make sure that you knew how much I appreciate you and how important I think the decisions that you guys make tonight about the medians is this evening. I'd like you to consider that it is really dangerous coming across that highway. We see so many times people falling as they're walking across the street, women with their strollers and their children. They're pushing strollers, they don't see the kid falls, and it's a problem. So please keep that in mind tonight when you guys are voting tonight. Thank you very, very much for your time.
Is there anyone else signed up?
I do not have anyone else.
Okay. Is there anyone who wants to come forward and speak about 3 minutes on any issue? Yes. Name and address.
Michael Pierce, I'm at 13607 Arcot Lane, Tomball, Texas. I just want to say that Loud Love has still not come by and signed the honky tonk, but we're still hopeful. Thank you very much.
Okay. Since there are no other, anyone else who wants to speak, we are closing our public comments and receipt of petition time. We now have reports and announcements. This is a busy week, a busy month. March 24th to 26th, Tomball Heritage German Festival at the Depot. April 1st, Tomball Athletic Booster Club Crawfish Bowl at Jones Park. April 15th, Tomball Rails and Tails Crawfish Festival at the Depot. April 21st, Rotary Fish Fry at Juergens Park. If you're not going to leave Tomball hungry. April 17th through 22nd, Tomball Annual Spring Cleanup and Chipping Week. April 22nd, Tomball Consolidated Recycling Day at the Lone Star College Tomball campus, the south entrance from 10 to 2. May 4th is our National Day of Prayer that has been moved from the depot to the community center. And it will be at 6 o'clock in the evening, not at noon on that May 4th. It will be in the evening. So National Day of Prayer. Any other announcements?
You have a question. Why are we not doing it outside like we have in the past?
Because it's hot and we're expanding it and did some changes.
Okay.
And we have met Chris Lord and Rosalie and myself.
Okay, that's fine. I
And
I like
so-
it outside.
And it enhanced it a little bit more. It's also always hot. So it's a National Day of Prayer. Reports by city staff and members of council about items of community interest of which no action will be taken. Catherine?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the quarterly investment report for the quarter ending December 31st. It's a little delayed on getting to you for obvious reasons. We didn't have our financial system, but better late than never. So as of December 31st, our total investment portfolio was a little under $90 million. We did have a slight increase in cash from the prior quarter, and that's due to property tax payments that came in the last few days of December. And then the investment pools, you'll see a large increase from September 30th quarter into December 31st. That's because we received those certificates of obligation proceeds totaling $20 million. And that's in our Texas class investment pool. And for securities, there's relatively no changes there. We didn't have any purchases. We didn't have any investments that matured. And then our maturity diversification, we're extremely liquid. So we're mostly keeping our cash in investment pools right now. So we benefit from the ever-changing interest rates. So they're ticking up. So our investment pools as of December 31st, they were earning between 4 and 4.5%. So we're getting some pretty good interest earnings right now. Any questions? Thank
There's
you.
no action on this. It's just for information. Any questions? Thank you. The next item is the new business consent agenda. There are 7 items on the new business consent agenda. They will all be considered to be routine and will be enacted in one motion. There was no separate discussion on each items. If discussion is desired, the item in question will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. At this time, is there any item that council wants to remove from the consent agenda? There are 7 items.
Go ahead. I'd like to discuss 4 and 6.
All right. Please remove item 4 and item 6 from the consent agenda.
I would like to ask that in the future that when we have this brought up, we have people watching this on Zoom. And they may not have an agenda in their possession, that we list those items. They don't have to go into any kind of detail, but simply the listing of the headings so that the people out there who may be watching it by Zoom know what we're talking about. Just a transparency issue is what I'm looking at.
Oh, I see. They don't have the 1 through 7 detail on the
Correct.
Zoom meeting.
At least at the.
That was, they see is this right here. That's all they see.
Okay, all right. We'll put that up. So, yes,
Staff request number 2, I think we have a public comment on number 2, as well as staff request 5 that we pull that one so we can discuss and clarify something.
okay. 1, 3, and 7.
Oh, I'm sorry. So we just need number 5.
Right, so
5, 4, and 6.
Why don't we do them individually?
I wrote them down in that order.
okay. So we have a mini business consent agenda for item number 1, item number 3, and item number 7 Items 2, 4, 5, and 6 have been removed from the consent agenda.
I missed that.
Not 2, 3, not. Okay.
4, 5, and 6 are coming off the consent.
4, 5, and 6 have been requested to be removed. Okay. So 2, the consent agenda consists of item 1, 2, 3, and 7. Okay, if no one else wants to remove any more, okay. Then I will, is there a motion to approve consent agenda of items 1, 2, 3, and 7?
Move.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, call for the vote?
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. Now, item number 4. Consideration to approve professional service agreement with Robert Kistner for gas monitoring at the City of Tomball closed landfill, not to exceed the amount of $20,500, and to approve the expenditure of funds and authorize the city manager to execute any and all documents related to the purchase. This expenditure is included in the 2022-23 budget. Drew.
Question, okay, I can go and ask my question then. Drew, it says in here it's quarterly, but do they notify the city quarterly when they do the test?
Yes, sir.
And then, first of all, in the exhibit A, it says annually, then it says quarterly.
So they do a quarterly inspection and then they do an annual report to TCEQ. So Texas Control Environmental Quality. So which is required for our.
But they
for our
do
closed
test
landfill.
it quarterly,
Yes.
and they
And we-
notify you when they're
Yes, sir.
testing.
We
it.
get all those reports and we file all those and we review the reports to make sure that we're staying within all of our.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yes.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve item number 4. Motion.
For approve, for approval, right?
This is a motion to vote on. I need a
Okay,
first and a
motion.
second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion, any additional discussion on this item? Okay, call for the vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Next item is number 5, approve a contract with Weisinger Incorporated to complete repairs and maintenance on Water Well 6 through a buy board contract not to exceed the amount of $129,444. Approve the expenditure of funds and authorize city manager to execute any and all documents. This expenditure is included in the 2022-2023 budget. So first, let's go ahead and have a motion. And then we'll
So
do,
moved.
Second.
okay, discussion.
We'll look at the vote.
No, we're having
Okay,
discussion
okay,
before the
discussion.
vote.
My question is, well, 6, which one is that? Is that one of the new
Number
ones?
5.
It's at,
It says well number 6 up here.
well, number 6 is off 2920 on the west side of town.
Okay, so it's
Yes,
been out there about 10 years. Been there longer than that. What's wrong with it right now?
So there's some pump issues and piping issues and bearing issues wrong with that well right now. So it's been fully pulled. It's out of commission at the moment. And so this is for approval to completely repair that well and get it back online, especially before our water demand increases. And then the reason why staff needed to pull this is because we did get a last minute update on the quotes, and instead of 129,000, it's 133,000. So there were
How did that happen?
just all through the different inspections coming up. It was a last minute quote change that we needed to make sure that everything's back online the way it needs to be.
I got a problem with that, because if they've gone out and they've asked for quotations, the city has, companies have quoted on this, then they need to are bound by that quote, period. I don't care if there's more or not, they gotta eat that.
Right, and if you look, it was included, the actual quote with the 133 was included in the backup what was out of date was what was when we put this, the item together. So there was an original quote based on just regular quotes, and then there was a buy board quote that came in, and so anyway, the actual number is 133, whatever it is, that was in the backup.
And like I said, it's I've all the years I've worked with government and quoted to them, once that number's released and they've been awarded, they don't have the right to come back and change it. If they're doing that, I think serious issue.
No, and it wasn't, the price increase, it was because of the contracts that we utilize with the buy board contracts that we go with using that pricing.
Okay, any other discussion?
I just have one other question, and it's mainly to Lauren. Since there is a dollar amount on this, Lauren, can we change that?
No, you cannot exceed it.
Cannot exceed what we printed,
You cannot exceed what.
so we can't vote on this. then.
We can vote on it for the amount approved, and they come back and ask for an amendment to that later. But like I said, I think when we've got stuff in here for 129, you go to 133, and if it was 129,500, I wouldn't have a big part about it, but you're talking about $4,000 more.
So instead of calling for the vote, do we agree to take no action on this tonight? Can we do that?
Question is what about your contractors and everything else? Are they willing to allow us to correct the text and not jack with the number? Do we have to go back to rebid it?
Jessica. So this is actually a procurement. The reason that they pulled it is related to their procurement of this. To comply with this procurement statute, we had to utilize a buy board contract. The
Okay.
original quote that the contractor provided was outside of the scope of that contract. We needed the quote to be as part of that already approved contract. That was the change in the pricing. Because the well has been pulled and we need to move forward with the work, I would recommend approving at the 129,444, and we'll bring back an additional item at the next council meeting for the gap to get to the remainder of the contract. This was not the contractor's fault. This was a procurement and staff trying to comply with the purchasing statutes.
Well, the purchasing statutes is saying you're having to buy it off a buy board. So you sent your quotation request through the buy board, and they came back and gave you what buy board had online, correct?
No, sir, the initial quote, I believe they did not quote the buy board pricing. It was outside the scope of the buy board contract.
So did we go out for a quotation as a municipality for this bid, or did we go say, we're gonna use buy board, y'all supply us a quote?
We went through the contractor to have them quote us the project for the rebuilding, pulling, and everything of the well through the buy board process. And so we looked at all the records, all the service records, everything, all the inspections, and said, this is what we need to do. This is how it needs to be repaired. Please give us a buy board quote. So the original one that we got did not have the buy board contract, and that's the change in the price.
Okay, so this is not for buy
So-
board.
yes.
There's a missing step, and I think that's where you're getting to. So originally, the contractor was selected by doing our well maintenance program. Every year we budget to pull a well, to inspect it, to do all of those different things. And so that's how we procured that contractor.
Yes.
They pulled the well, they tested it, they ran the camera down the hole, and then there was repairs that needed to happen. They then provided that quote to do the actual repairs. And that's what we have now. And they did that. They quoted that at the 129,444 number. We're wanting to use the buy board contract. Using that price list then gets us to the 133. If I understand.
My understanding of buy board is it's a co-op buy. And that means that everybody goes out and the buy board people say 5 companies, they want to have possibilities of doing it. Everybody's given the same documents and they quote per item. So we went out and we asked for a quotation based off of buy board per item, and whoever came in with the buy board, which is already established, which keeps us from actually having to go out to bid and spend the money through all the advertising and everything else. That's what the buy board is, the co-op. So we've done that. And I guess my problem is buy board pricing can't change. Once it's established, it's established. So somewhere, someplace, somebody either missed an item that should have been bid per buy board, or the contractor doesn't understand what he's doing. Simple as that.
Is this the buy board fee that was missed?
No.
The component?
I do not know. I mean, when we asked them to provide.
Yeah, yes.
It was
mainly the fee.
Okay.
That explains it then. The contractor did it the right way, but just did not get the buy board fee included in the prices.
And is this the price for what they found after they pulled the well?
Yes, sir.
So how could this been a part of the budget when we didn't even know what was the problem?
Because we have, in the budget, we have a certain amount of money allocated for water well servicing.
Right.
And since
Some
that's in
years-
the budget.
Which was this 129?
No, well, it could be, I don't know.
We typically budget about 120,000 for repairs. And then there's system-wide maintenance line item that we can utilize to make up that.
So this was above what was in the budget.
For the line item of the pulling of the well. It's system maintenance.
This is maintenance and I don't have a problem.
Well, I
with that.
understand that, but I have a problem if we budgeted one number and we're looking at another number and we're saying it's budgeted. That's what I have a
Well,
problem with.
In reality, it is budgeted.
Not the 129.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Hang on, hear me out. You've got $120,000 in there, then you have a separate line item in that portion of that account that you can take money out of to utilize to meet the gap in between anything that's actually there. And I don't know what those line item amounts are. Do you have any idea, David, what those line item amounts are for that maintenance portion of it?
In the water account, there's, I believe it's, this year was, looked at it earlier. Yeah, 210,000 for system-wide maintenance. So there's a lot of things that go into wells. Once you scope it and pull it, you don't know exactly what's in there until you fully get into it. And so that's why there's
So you
money
have a
in the
bigger
system
number,
maintenance.
Well,
Yes,
for full transparency, John, you're right. So there's that system maintenance number, it's broken down into individual line items. So then you'll have the one that we do every year for the well pulling, the system maintenance ones for other things that go in, but all of those are under basically system maintenance, what
Got
this
it.
qualifies for.
Okay.
yes.
So if they break something else, then they'll have to come back to us.
I understand. I just,
I understand where you're
how
coming
I am
from.
about budget items.
So let me ask y'all something. When you have a buy board fee, isn't buy board required to tack that fee before they deliver a quotation to you guys? Isn't that their business that they're gonna charge an X number of percentage on everything that's out there? To my recollection, that's exactly what happens, and they put their fee on top of it. And so if they miss the deal, then shame on them.
I don't know.
I'm gonna vote for it. I just, like I said, I just have a real issue when.
It was a mistake on our part and we will make sure it doesn't happen again.
Okay,
So,
that's fine.
Is any of this potentially related to the freeze a couple of years ago?
no, sir, this is related just to the age of the well and it's a mechanical part. So
That's why we
the
pull one of
bearings.
those wells every year, so we can see what's going on with them. If there's no problem, they put it back down hole. And then next year they'll come in and pull another well. And it's just
Right.
routine maintenance on a well is what it is. It's a great program. I have no problem with that. Like I said, so it's a real true number. It's 133 what?
130,000.
344. Okay, so you'll be coming back.
Yes, we'll be coming back with
requesting
with the difference. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
All right, so I need a motion to approve item number 5, not to do the buy board contract for water well 6, not to exceed the amount of 129,444.
You've already got. the
I mean,
motion in second.
That is what we are voting on.
Yep.
Is that not to exceed the 129,444?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, call for the vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Item number 6, approve the purchase of the 2 500 kW natural gas generators from Evolve Power Generation through a cooperative purchasing contract with Choice Partners. for not to exceed amount of $599,787. Approve the expenditure of funds thereafter, authorize city manager to execute all documents related to the purchase. This expenditure is included in the 2022-23 budget.
So move.
Do I have a second? Second. All right, discussion.
Where are they going?
They're going to the South Wastewater Treatment Plant.
That was one question, but the other one is, you've got two. Are they gonna be able to run individually? Or are they going to be run simultaneously?
So
Take care of the
they can
800
parallel themselves, which that'll help balance their hours out. And if the power is needed, they can run both at the same time.
Why are we going to natural gas from diesel?
I believe a lot of the biggest reason is because of the supply that we control natural gas. And also, it's a, I won't say better generator, but it can be a more reliable generator, especially if we do have another freeze like we had before and having to get manpower out there to fuel that machine.
Okay, oh, go ahead.
It's cheaper for natural gas than it is for diesel if you're running for long periods of time.
For long periods of time, but also at the same time, you've got to do a whole nother setup to run natural gas than diesel. Because diesel, you've got a tank there sitting on standby. So is the cost of putting all that in place?
Yes,
included in
this is turnkey,
That is turnkey.
turnkey.
That's all I want to know,
Yes, sir.
because it wasn't in the.
And we did look at all different types of generators and different models and different brands. I mean, Cats here in our town, we called them, they couldn't supply us. So, well, they could, but for a lot larger price.
If I was rich, I'd be buying that one myself, probably. What y'all got for it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Drew.
All right. I'd like to call for the vote approving the $599,787 for the Southwest Water Treatment Plant. Please vote.
Mine said yay.
Yeah.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right. New business. Discussion and possible action regarding legislative items at the 2023 Texas legislation session. Jessica will explain what all we have done and go through these items, which will be submitted to our state legislatures.
Yes, Mayor and Council. Last week, staff met with Mayor Quinn and Councilmember Parr, who had been sort of designated by council to go over legislative items. We had a very lively discussion about everything that's happening at the legislature. Just to give you an update, they're about 50% of the way through the 140-day biennial session. There's been more than 8,200 bills filed to date, thousands of which could impact cities, municipalities, or any of our operations. So getting through them is a monumental task. So I commend the mayor and Councilmember Parr for taking that on. One of the things that came out of that discussion were a couple of themes, bills that related specifically to the concept of preemption, which is whereby the state implements a statute that takes an authority away from a city or a home rule city. And so in the packet you have prepared for you is a draft letter that was sent completely as a draft to be provided to our representative, as well as draft resolutions that are specific to bills that are moving through the legislature related to that concept of preemption. The first set, HB 2127, SB 814, and SB 149. Are sort of those super preemption bills. They're bills that say cities, you can't regulate in a whole bunch of areas, and it's very, very broad. The second set of bills, SB 175 and HB 3538, are what are called the community censorship bills, and those are bills that restrict a city's ability to participate in organizations that hire lobbyists, in this case, as applied to cities would be the Texas Municipal League, as it would apply to counties, Texas Association of Counties, or school districts, the Texas Association of School Boards. All three of those entities would fall under the restriction of those bills. And so that's what we worked on, and I put together just some drafts for council to review, consider, and then bring back at the next meeting. The last document you have are bills that were provided to me by Mayor Quinn, Councilmember Parr, Amanda with the farmers market, and then some TML priority bills. Submitted in there was the position, if one was provided, of what that submitter's kind of position on that bill was, the author of the bill, a topic area, so you know generally what that bill falls under, and then a very, very brief summary. If TML had summarized, I tried to capture their summary, but I can tell you some of these bills are hundreds of pages of text. And so I couldn't get through them all in a couple days, but that's what you have in front of you. And I'm happy to answer any questions or provide any guidance.
Thank you. There probably will be questions. Just to let everyone know, there has been in the past a lot of these bills that restrict the ability of cities to govern themselves in certain areas, that the state feels like the state should be able to tell the cities how to govern in certain areas, basically usurping the authority of elected officials in towns. It's not so much that they're after small towns, but we get swept in with the big cities. So if our state government is mad at Dallas or Austin or something is going on, it's hard to discriminate and say we only want to restrict some of the larger, or Houston, the larger cities, without sweeping in the small cities too.
We're collateral damage.
And it has come closest than ever before on this. And so that is why there are certain areas that we are doing a formal resolution to all of our elected officials that of course we are against this. The other one is the referendum on one of the parties that no sales tax dollars be used for lobbying. We are members of Texas Municipal League. They do a lot of services for us. But one of the things they also do is have a division that monitors the 8,000 bills to see if there's anything that's going to hurt cities. And then they get in touch with us. They have a whole team that does that. Well, our dues are paid by many different areas, but one of them is sales tax that cannot be used to pay dues. And that is actually a national party, well, it's a Texas Party Republican agenda item that they don't want any lobbyists being paid for with any sales tax dollars, which hopefully, there's all sorts of ramifications of that. So that is why we are opposing that. But if that does pass, and when you look at a bill, the smaller the number, the closer it is to being passed in that legislature, especially if it's something from the governor or the lieutenant governor. They have their bills that they can present. And if they're closer to number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way down to about 100, and then those possibly would pass this year. So there was Senate Bill 175, and that would adversely impact the ability of Texas and the residents to govern themselves. In fact, it erodes home rule, and we are a home rule city. So that is why we have taken such an active role this year in the legislature. We have good relationship with our elected officials on the state level and on the federal level. And that's why we're looking at these resolutions. But if there is any citizen who is interested in studying 8,000 bills or being involved in a committee, please call and leave your name with Tracy. Because this affects all of us, and this is part of what we are doing. But I just wanted to let people understand why we were getting involved in this now.
Mayor, I would like to ask for more clout on each one of these documents, that you have a place for each one of your council members to sign, so it doesn't look like it's just being sent by the mayor of a town, but by the whole council.
Okay.
So if you could do that for us, I would think that that would have more clout than a single signature, and that's just kind of my thought is, they don't want to think you're the lone duck and everybody else is, you know, you're doing something on your own. We want to show them, this is the way our city feels.
Okay. Any?
Is there any problem with that
issue
legally? No.
Okay, that'd be great. We also, I would like to probably put the resolutions too on the one that are most important to our farmers market. Our farmers market is number 3 in the state of Texas. And any bill that affects our farmers affects our farmers market. So we need to make sure that Amanda's done a great job keeping track of all that. And I'd like to kind of include in resolutions, since this affects our town, the farmers market, not just these bills, the ones that are most important to her. So Amanda, if you could get with us and bring all that together so they know that too. This also has been requested officially by one of our state legislatures, said, hey, I'm here for you, you're my town. And
Yeah.
and I would be glad to fight your bills that you want to have. However, most of our legislatures cannot fight against a party platform. So that's why I really am afraid that we will probably have to budget for a legislative committee in the future in order to keep track of it, since we won't be allowed to use TML. We'll still use TML for other services, but not for keeping track of the bills that affect our city.
Well, I'd like to offer, if we can't use taxpayer funds, and we should create some sort of a private committee that would collect funds from people, interested parties, and pay the dues for the city of Tomball.
Well, we have the fund for our statues, legacy fund, which is done, hang on. The legacy fund, so we should be able to set up a similar fund that taxpayers' dollars are not going into, and have it out there for people to donate for paying dues, shouldn't we?
Right, well, depending if this passes, we will be looking for legal ways to get this done.
Well, I think we ought to start looking for legal ways to get it done before it passes.
So,
I would much rather be proactive than reactive.
yeah, but he's expensive.
Tomball Political Action Committee.
Yes, and make it a citizen political action.
Sure.
And so that's what we'll be calling on to do.
Lauren's not throwing daggers at me yet.
No.
so-
Floyd,
Okay, good. I
Mayor.
just want to make sure.
I called David and Randy. It's not listed on here, the one Bettencourt's got about the lot size. Did y'all check into that, or did you look at it, or?
It's one that amends chapter 211, the local government code.
Right,
It creates a new definition for a small lot. I don't know that it would impact anything other than that new definition, that new section.
but it says it's no larger than 1,400 square foot.
But
A lot?
A lot. It defines, it creates a section that defines a small lot.
So we need to check into that, please.
Yes, because the
Because
organization.
The way I read it, it meant that you couldn't have a big lot anymore. Any town smaller than, inside of Harris County, a county with 300,000 people.
The way I kind of interpreted it, since it creates a definition for a new lot term, small lot, it's not going to impact our ability to have a half acre, 3/4 acre lot, 1 acre estate lot, or anything like that. It's not going to affect anything in subchapters A, B, and C of 211.
Yeah, but it would affect our ability to say that we're not gonna do lots below 6,000 square
Exactly
feet,
what
which
I
is
read.
the smallest lot. We currently have 1,400 foot. Yeah, we had 6,000 is the smallest lot we allow now, and you're telling me that they're gonna say you have to provide for something at 1,400 square feet?
Right, and there is Senate Bill 149 by Springer, Senate Bill 814 by Crichton, House Bill 2127 by Burrows. That is mainly, it will affect what we have.
I know.
Our ordinances
We've got to
and-
check into those. so,
Yeah. And
'cause that
it's,
scared me when I read that.
and it will be pushed, it's being pushed by a huge conglomerate of developers and home builders and everything to try, when a city says, no, your subdivision can't come in, if the state says it can, it will change our ability to allow that.
Exactly.
And that's what Randy says, you gotta have supply, that doesn't mean you have to approve it. Oh, if you got something like that, you don't approve it, you gotta get yourself challenged in court, because you got something offering that you're not allowing. And I think there's a problem there, and I think we need to get a bunch of hot water.
I think so too.
Great. Is there any, we're going to continue this. Is there any, there's not any action. This is just a discussion item.
Or we could, are you gonna try to, it's not just a discussion, but it's a possible action.
Oh, possible action.
Were you gonna try to approve this resolution?
We may change some of the resolution in order to bring in the farmer's market bill.
Okay.
So,
And add our signatures.
And
to the
add our
resolutions,
signatures.
Please.
And the one I brought up just then.
Okay.
You're gonna be
Yeah,
opposed to it.
The one thing that I would caution you, if we wait 2 more weeks.
No,
we're-
we can't.
We're done. I
I'll
mean,
have
I'll be
this-
more
this-
than happy to come up here and sign documents. It won't take me 15 minutes to sign documents as long as they're available for me to sign, so that's not a problem.
so our action would be to approve these resolutions with some amendments, possibly, with some amendments.
And you have to
and-
be careful doing that, because if you open yourself to some amendments.
Well, you gotta specify the amendment.
Exactly, you have to specify. You can't just say with some amendments. You have
One,
to
to add
specify.
city council signatures. 2, to add the bill Dane talked about.
And the farmer market bill.
Farmers market.
Are there any, do you know the bill numbers of the ones that?
No, they're not.
The
So
farmer's market.
the two resolutions you have are specific to the topic areas
Oh, okay.
of the preemption bill and the community censorship bill. So my recommendation would be that I draft additional resolutions, one in support of the farmers market related bills, of which I have the list of. And then the separate topic is Senate Bill 2037, I believe is the one you're referencing, which is a bill by Paul Bettencourt that restricts that no city subdivision regulations or minimum lot sizes or setbacks. The note I have says in the ETJ, so I would need to review that bill
There's
specifically
two bills.
to give
There's
you,
partner. There's
Okay.
another bill that's tied on to that. It
Okay.
Says word for word the same thing.
okay.
Yeah, the House bill. and
House,
Senate.
HB and a SB,
Yeah.
Senate bill and a House bill.
So if I could review that
One's
bill
like
and then
300 something, and one's what you said.
okay, and bring back an additional resolution specific to the language that's in that bill.
If we need to approve the resolutions tonight, we don't have those two resolutions before us to look at. That. We can't approve something that's not actually physically here, can we?
Don't you have it?
Well, we have two of them, but we don't have the additional. one.
You can't approve the ones talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. We can't approve the one that Councilman Dunnigan did, or the farmers markets we need to add tonight.
Since time is of the essence, can we call a special meeting to approve the final ones? Would y'all, we call a special city council
have
meeting
no
to come up and
problem
approve?
with
Anything. Get this
Okay.
done.
I don't believe, I'd have to check my calendar if you give me a few minutes if y'all want to continue talking, but I don't believe that any bills can be adopted yet that are not priority items listed by the governor. So I don't think we've met that deadline yet where the House can approve Senate bills or the Senate can approve House bills. So we may have some time. I just don't have the calendar in front of me, but there's a specific order and timeline of which bill. So we might have 2 weeks to consider additional resolutions.
I will be tied up the 28th and the 29th. So I will be able to sign there. So if you can get them done before or after, that's fine. Just let me know. I'll
Okay,
do it.
So-
Jessica will check the time to see if it can be done on a regular city council meeting before that the bills are not going to be proposed. Or we will call a special meeting to get this done. Tonight, we can vote on these two resolutions.
We need to make any change. Yeah, we have to put the signatures on that.
You can amend it tonight, but signatures, all of the council.
And then we can accept the letter as well with the amendment of signature block. So,
And these resolutions, of course, are public record, and so is this 5-page document of all the bills. Get your magnifying glass out, it's really small print. But this is all the bills of opposing and supporting that affects our city and the farmer's market and development, and our ability to govern. So please, you're welcome to get a copy of this and take it home and study it. Like, call Tracy.
So Mayor and Council, just to provide a recommendation, since, and you're right, the list of bills is long and there's a whole lot more background to each one of these bills and what they affect and the unintended consequences of it. Glancing through it, there's some here that I think that after you have an opportunity to really look into all of the different perspectives of what the bill means, it could change your stance on what the actual recommendation of the position is on the bill. So a recommendation to kind of get it in a more manageable setup is that we can provide a priority list of maybe the top 10. That way we can really vet those and go through it. Because I will tell you, there's some in here that I think goes against what we're trying to accomplish on some of them, not all of them. But I think that it's worth going through with them and making sure that we don't have conflicting messages when we say we oppose one thing and then, but we're recommending approval of another.
So do we have staff available to be able to do that, David?
If we're able to condense it to hone in on, just the priority, we absolutely can.
And
That's still
Jessica's
gonna
done a
be more
great
what you
job
need.
of helping to put and decipher all the pages of sometimes difficult to read bills. Makes it confusing. But they're like the de-annexation bill, the election, that we have property in Tomball, and it's a bill that says if somebody who's already in Tomball wants to de-annex, they can now not become part of Tomball. So it puts holes in your city limits. So that, I don't know. The bill is,
How does that work when you have
It-
zoning? I mean.
right, well, if you take away the ability of your town to accomplish that. So this is getting more and more important to monitor these bills and make sure that we are protecting our town. And of course, that bill is a very high number, so it probably won't come up on the courts, and its opposition is pretty big. As long as towns don't lose their ability to govern themselves.
So can we make a motion on all of the 3 documents that we need to approve tonight, or do they need to be done individually?
I think it's just, I make a motion to approve these 2 with
And the
the,
letter.
and the letter with the addition of all the signatures.
Yeah. So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay, call for the vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right. Well, thank you all for doing that. Randy, everyone's done a great job. And for Randy and Jessica and David, all this and Dane. The next item is provide staff direction and authorize the city to commence negotiations on the proposed designs for FM 2920 Main Street reconstruction project with TxDOT. As you know, we have had many meetings on our road. We had the meeting at Beckendorf where the 3 alternatives, all were blessed by TxDOT, 1, 2, and 3. Alternate 2 was approved there, and then we had the online vote where alternate 2 was approved. But city council, to move forward, city council actually needs to approve one of those 3. And then from there, it goes, TxDOT will have their hearings this year, and then engineering, and hopefully the end of 24 or early 25, we will be able to do that. But to move forward with our Main Street, this is the next step, is to have it officially the alternative 1, 2, or 3 voted by city council. So who's,
So Mayor and Council, we can definitely go through the presentation of the results from the December 6th meeting. Yes, and so we have that. Tasha, can you pull that up? So just as a refresher, the three alternatives, so alternative one was full median. So that is the recommendation with all of the medians to prevent cross traffic on Oak and also Walnut. But it also has those thin medians that go all the way to the intersect to signalize intersections. Alternative number two is the one that you see there that removes all of the medians within Main Street, but it provides for one-way streets at Oak and Walnut. So you'd go traveling south on Oak and then north on Walnut going eastbound.
And then Elm.
and there's
Go
pedestrian.
back, then to Elm is gonna be blocked.
Yes, and then Elm would be recommended on all three to have the medians.
Okay, thank you.
By the railroad track with the crosswalk. medians.
And then alternative three is basically alternative one, except for the extension of the thin medians all the way to the signalized intersections. Sasha, go ahead and go to, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, there you go. Sorry.
So explain that again, Dan.
So you have the medians to prevent the cross traffic at Oak and Walnut, just like you do on alternative one. And then the protection of the pedestrians crossing there, except you don't have the medians extending those finger medians all the way to the signalized intersections at Pine and Cherry. So that's really the difference there.
So the only driveways, if I'm looking at alternative three, available would be the one for Main Street crossing and next to the what is that? I'm looking at the openings actually where there should be trees and they're not. I guess that's Charlotte's Salary. They would have the capability of having people entering their parking lots. Everything else would be blocked. If I'm reading this correctly.
You want to be able to get across Main Street at Cherry and Pine.
I understand that, but I'm talking about, more importantly, what we're cutting off to particular businesses like Snowflake Donuts. You would not be able to turn and go into Snowflake unless you were only eastbound. You would not be able to do it if you were westbound.
You can still turn left on Pine.
No,
Street.
you can turn.
On Pine Street, but not into their driveway that they have spent the money to pour. You are blocking the driveways. I'm not looking at streets, I'm looking at driveways. You're allowing it for Salary and you're allowing it for a Main Street crossing, but everything else down through there, you're saying you cannot use your driveway.
So Snowflake doesn't have medians in front of it.
Snowflakes at Pine?
Yes,
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. I was up a block. Yeah, I did.
It's just, it's only Oak and Walnut.
Okay.
And then, of course, Elm Street.
The Snowflake, I think, would be okay.
All right. I just don't want to hurt people.
Go to the next one. And so there's the kind of the results from the open house. Had a good attendance there. The thing I wanted to show was this results of the survey there on the different alternatives. And you can see based on the survey at the town hall or the open meeting was alternative number 2.
Can we go back and look at alternative 2 again, please? Thank you. May I ask Amanda a question? Because she said, she made a comment when she came up here a little while ago about seeing people fall crossing the street. Where do those events happen? Where? What portion? At Walnut. Okay. Thank you. we gonna try to put any hawk signals in anywhere? No.
We do have the in. Where'd you go? There he is. If there's a-
They don't warrant,
All right,
even during our, you have to have it all the time, never mind.
okay. All right. We'll go ahead and do this now. We're in discussion. Can we do this now?
You can make a motion.
Okay. We do have a request to speak before city council. Sandy Shaver, if you would, on this item, if you would come forward and to name and address.
Thank you, Mayor Quinn and council members, for listening to me. All of this I'm going to say is probably irrelevant, but I want to go through it anyway. Don't mind. First of all, thank you for allowing me to speak. I love Tomball and have been here most of my 80 years, except for 5 years in East Texas with Humble Oil. Thanks to Bruce Hellegast's grandfather, Mr. Bruce, which my sister and I begged him to get us back to Tomball. He did. Oh, that's okay. I don't mind. Okay. There's always been such a charm about Tomball. For instance, boutiques, art, antiques, and festivals that bring many people here. Tonight is important to all of us because City Council is to vote on this subject of option 2. After several meetings, the majority of the citizens voted to look at option 2 as the best choice if we need one. It is important to adhere to the citizens' wishes, and that would be no medians. I understand that some cities and states had to make ordinances against loitering and medians because it drove in panhandlers who seemed to take over. We have seen some of that already. And who is responsible when they get chipped away, like on the medians on the ground, chipped away, broken and dirty? Who's responsible for all of this maintenance? Just look at 1960 area and towns around us and see the damage. They don't try to fix or improve anything. Is this for Tomball to fix or TxDOT? Look at Four Corners. They're all chipped. Or we really need to improve the traffic lights that flow down Main Street, along with lights from crossing the streets in each block. We really haven't had many wrecks in all these years to warrant medians as a reason to have medians. We do need one at the railroad track. You say medians help with slowing down traffic, but they, as an example, fly down 2920 going east and west and still no one slows down. And still there are wrecks, which that did not help any situation. Also, I have a thought of a suggestion or an idea. What about coming from the east to Tomball in order to save the citizens in the community and the visitors and everybody? If we put median way down there to the east, like at Persimmon Street or something like that, to start slowing the flow down. And so when they get down to Main Street, they're not surprised that we have medians. Anyway, so I got that.
Yeah.
Once again, option 2 seems to be the best choice, but please listen to the people of Tomball.
Point of order. I'm sorry, ma'am. We have a 3-minute limit. And
Okay.
it applies to everybody across the board. And I'm friends with Sandy. I'm not trying to be rude.
No,
I'm
no.
just trying to make sure that everybody gets treated the exact same way.
That's fine. Thank you.
Sorry, Michelle. We should have it over 80. Okay, thank you, Michelle. Anyone else wishing to speak? Okay. Now, this is a staff direction authorize the city to commence negotiations. So there is not a vote to be taken on the alternates, or is there?
Don't we just pick the one we want to do? Like that's what we do.
Yep, just provide me
Okay.
direction to.
All right.
Do we need to motion that and vote on that, or do we just give them direction
That's what
strictly?
I'm asking.
Just give direction.
And I can-
Okay.
There's not an official action to be taken.
All right. Since one of the things that I had requested on the online votes is how many of those came from businesses and citizens in Tomball and how many of them came from outside? Was that ever looked at? Did we ever verify?
The way we did, if you remember, the way we did the survey is people got stickers and put on the alternative that they wanted, so the track.
For the online vote? I'm talking about.
Oh, for the online
vote.
So for the online, we didn't make it mandatory that they say whether they were, we gave the option, they could say I'm a resident, I'm a business owner, but it wasn't, I don't think it was mandatory. So the only way that we can tell is if they self-identified, but we did not require
So we
it.
couldn't tell if there were businesses or citizens or anyway from Tomball. Okay.
No, and we didn't ask people, we did not
Okay.
ask that on the in-person card either.
Okay, so this was just for the online vote, because if you're not from here, just driving straight through is speeds up your traffic, I guess. All right, so we have alternative 1, which is all medians, alternative 2, which is medians there, pedestrian medians at the railroad track along, looks like both sides with crosswalks to try to slow the traffic there at the Main Street. But alternative 2 does have 2 roads that would be one way. So it would learn a little bit of a different traffic pattern. And then number 3 is medians, except they're thinner medians, correct? Can you switch to 3? They are all medians, but they are thinner medians. And then there is medians at the road, the same way at the railroad, which is pedestrian medians with crosswalks. As I understand that according to the engineers, when we were going through this, that we could not do the push button lights. What do you call the hawks? That did not meet the parameters of TxDOT. This was a negotiation to make sure that all 3 of these alternatives met the safety features of TxDOT, and they do. So what is the consensus? We want to just poll council?
Mayor, I just want to give one additional information. Could you go down to the summary of the, one more, the next one, right there. So alternative 2 does have an additional cost that's above and beyond what the scope of the project has always been done, because we're going to be responsible for that off-system improvement for the one-way. So just know on alternative 2, the cost to the city is going to be more.
But it's not gonna be $750,000 or $1 million to make that. Shouldn't anyway.
Shouldn't.
And because what we're deciding now is the future of our Main Street. It's the future of Old Town. It's the future direction of this county. So it's hard to, I look at Fredericksburg, and I'd love to be the mini Fredericksburg of Harris County. But Fredericksburg has no medians and the worst parking ever. So, but that's what this vote is tonight. So it is a very important direction that we're giving.
Well, Mayor, as Derek
Yeah.
always says, we're part of, we listen to the people, and the people voted for 2. And we've had one person come up, I'm for 2.
Okay.
2.
Okay.
I would like to ask our engineer one thing. We may not be able to have the Hawk system, but there are some in-roadway lighting systems out there where ballards could potentially be used for the crosswalks coming into our fairs down Walnut and some of that stuff. Are we going to force them to walk all the way down to where they have a crosswalk, or can we put in-roadway lighting in and potentially allow them to come across at least for special functions?
We're looking at some of those options.
Okay, all right. What that is basically is they have small disc that have LED lighting in them. And if somebody enters a crosswalk, those LED lights can either flash amber or red, whichever you want it to do. And it takes the place of a hawk signal, and it does give your pedestrians a little bit more protection than just allowing them to cross. And being in the industry that I was in for 40-something years, I think it would be unwise for us not to do something like that, especially for our festivals.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't have to be in order. They can come in and program them, whatever, we can program them so that they're there for those periods of time and only be there for that. 18-wheelers can roll up, run over them, cars can run over them, it doesn't affect them. So I just think it would be smart safety on our behalf to put those in, even if we have to pay for them, guys, because how much is a life worth?
Okay, thank you. So the staff direction is alternate number 2. And authorize the city to commence negotiations on the proposed designs for FM 2920 and Main Street reconstruction project with TxDOT. So no mediums. Thank you. Number 3. Next item on agenda is to approve resolution number 2023-14, a resolution of the city of Tomball canceling the regular city officers election scheduled to be held on the 6th day of May 2023 in accordance with section 2053 of the Texas Election Code. Is there a motion to approve? Oh, Tracy.
Mayor and council, this is the official notification and the resolution calling for the cancellation of the regular elections that were tentatively scheduled for 6th of May 2023, being that we have unopposed candidates for position 1 and 5, which is John Ford and Randy Parr. We are presenting this to officially cancel our elections.
Okay, great. Is there a motion to, now, I think we ought to leave, let Randy and John do these.
I
motions.
agree. So I'm trying to get John to do.
Is
Make
there
the
a motion
John.
to approve resolution number 2023-14?
It's awful self-serving.
Was that a motion?
I'll second that.
Okay. All right. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Number 4. Next item on the agenda is to approve on first reading resolution number 2023-10 TEDC. A resolution of the City Council, of the City of Tomball, authorizing and approving TEDC's project to expend funds in accordance with the EDC's agreement signed between the corporation and the City of Tomball to make directed incentives for improvements to Jerry Matheson Park located at 124 Oric Road, authorized under sections 505, 152, and 154. Estimated total amount of such project is $200,000.
Good evening,
Oh,
Mayor and Council.
Sorry.
Kelly Violet, Tomball Economic Development Corporation. This and the following 3 items represent about 1.4 million that the EDC has adopted as projects for participation with City of Tomball improvements. So this first one is an addition to $300,000 that the TEDC had approved back in 2020 for the improvements to Matheson Park. The additional $200,000 was requested due to inflation and additional costs that were encountered. This project was approved by the EDC Board of Directors at our March meeting. Be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions? All right. Is there a motion to approve on first reading resolution 2023-10?
So
Second.
Okay, discussion? Call for the vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, next item, Kelly.
The next item is for improvements to the 100 block north and south and add alternate 200 block north for the alleyway project. This includes funding in the amount of $600,000 from the TEDC towards this project. Keep in mind that this amount does not include funds for the amenity package. The EDC Board of Directors just approved at our March meeting the design cost for the amenities. That was up to $100,000. So once we get through design, then we'll know what the cost is for the amenity package. And depending upon what that is, obviously, we'll be back to have that discussion with council. But this is for the additional costs that are being incurred due to the restroom and just inflation and construction costs going up.
Is there a motion to approve first reading resolution 2023-11-EDC?
So moved. Second.
Discussion?
You said it did include the restroom?
It does include it.
Call for the vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. Next item, Kelly.
Item 6 is to approve resolution number 2023-13-TEDC. This is for assistance for design of the South Side wastewater treatment plant. This is one of those projects that kind of come full circle. If you've been here long enough, you know that the TEDC initially funded the extension of utilities along that south side on Holdereth, as well as up Hopsmith Corval, along with the wastewater treatment plant back in 1999, I think it was. So kind of exciting to see that we are now at that point of expanding. So what this amount is for, again, is for the design. This is a project that's estimated to be approximately $60 million. As far as I'm understanding, the city has not budgeted or have grant funds for this project, but this would fund the design.
Entertain a motion to approve on first reading resolution number 2023-13-TEDC.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Call for the vote.
Wow, y'all are learning my tricks.
Motion carries unanimously.
Kelly, next item.
Last item for us, this is resolution number 2023-12-TEDC, and this is to approve funds of $200,000 for Louis Together Playground. This essentially matches the city's contribution of $200,000 for this project. This wasn't approved unanimously by the Board of Directors.
Is there a motion to approve on first reading resolution 2023-12?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Kelly, I would personally like to thank the TEDC and their board for participating with these projects with the city and being partners with us. And that,
Thank you.
I know some of your board members struggle with it, but I'm very appreciative.
Well, and that's one thing we do talk about a lot is what is economic development and what does that mean and how has that changed? And I think COVID, we all know, has changed the way we live. And now I think even more so, the focus is on quality of life and what does our community offer and what does it bring to the table for somebody that can choose to live anywhere. So thank you for your statement. I'll pass that along to the board.
I know when I was president of the EDC, I decided to run for city council 14 years ago because of statutes. And I did not approve of those funds. And I understand where the board comes from. But times have changed.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? And call for the vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
And thank you, board, for on behalf of the citizens of Tomball City Council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 8, next item on the agenda is to conduct the public hearing of the city council of the city of Tomball to propose levy of assessments. Megan.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item is to conduct the public hearing to consider the proposed levy of assessments for the authorized improvements for Public Improvement District 14 Seven Oaks. The proposed service and assessment plan does comply with the requirements and development agreement that were approved by council on August 15th, including all private improvements that were required.
It is now 7:15 PM, and we will open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to come and speak about the Seven Oaks PID district in the city of Tomball? Seven Oaks. Okay. It is now 7:16. And we are closing the public hearing. The next agenda item is to adopt on first reading ordinance number 2023-06. Megan?
Yes, ma'am. Ordinance number 2023-06 will approve the service and assessment plan and the assessment rule for the authorized improvements within the district. Public infrastructure has been substantially completed and the development is adhering to all requirements as based on the development agreement.
Is there a motion to adopt on first reading ordinance number 2023-6 by caption only? This is a reading by caption only.
So moved. Second.
Okay, call for the vote.
Motion carries unanimously. Ordinance number 2023-06, an ordinance of the City Council of Tomball, Texas, approving a service and assessment plan and assessment rule for authorized improvements for the Seven Oaks Public Improvement District, making a finding of special benefit to certain property in the district, levying assessments against certain property within the district, and establishing a lien on such property, providing for payment of the assessment in accordance with Chapter 372 of the Texas Local Government Code as amended, providing for the method of assessment and the payment of the assessments, providing for penalties and interest on delinquent assessments, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. The proposed service and assessment plan complies with the requirements of the approved development agreement as approved by City Council on August 15, 2022.
Is there a motion to adopt on first reading ordinance number 2023-06?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Okay, let's call for the vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Next item on the agenda is to adopt on first reading ordinance 2023-07. Chief Sikora.
Mayor and council, tonight you have before you an amendment of the fire code to adopt chapter 12 of the International Fire Code 2021. In February of 2023, I apologize, February of this year, y'all voted to add energy storage systems into our code of ordinances for zoning. This caused us to take a peek at our fire code and the building code to see how this affected us directly. What it brought to light is the 2015 code that we have currently adopted does not address energy storage systems in the magnitude in which energy storage systems was added. So what this code does is it adds and provides for the installation, operation, maintenance, repair, retrofitting, testing, commissioning, and decommissioning, say that in one sentence, of energy systems. This is emergency standby power systems, portable generators, solar photovoltaic arrays, stationary fuel supplies, and electrical energy storage systems. Previously, the top four were adopted by the 2015 code. This adds the electrical energy storage systems and moves a lot of this language around. Emergency and standby power systems adds for the emergency responder communications coverage systems, which are repeaters that we utilize within certain buildings. The hospital is the only one we have so far that requires it. We're currently looking at the high school and some of the other schools to see if they require it. Emergency voice alarm communication systems as well. Most of this is covered by the battery backup that they currently have. portable generators is operation and maintenance of these portable generators, grounding and electrical cord requirements, refueling during operations, which is, as we all know, a big no-no, and fire extinguisher requirements within the area around those generators. Solar photovoltaic power arrays, what it added was vegetation control of the ground mounted systems. Stationary fuel systems, moved stationary fuel systems into this section. Stationary fuel cells, meaning believe it or not, a car powering a house during a power outage. Energy storage systems adds a threshold quantity for on building interiors. So this is battery rooms within a certain occupancy. It also outlines permitting and construction documents that are required, requires hazard mitigation analysis for each building, and requires large-scale fire testing. Additionally, operation and maintenance of these, ongoing testing, commissioning, and decommissioning of each one of these energy cells, retrofitting of any buildings. If someone is to retrofit a particular room to fit, it lines out those requirements, adds maximum quantities for certain chemical battery makeups within a single structure, requires alternative fire suppression systems for all buildings or walk-in units. And a walk-in unit is in up to 53 feet by 8 by 9.5, which would be roughly the size of a Connex box or an 18-wheeler trailer. It also places a 10-foot perimeter around each standalone structure where there is no vegetation that can be grown. So there's a little bit less of a possibility of fire spread. Means of egress separation of 10 feet, allowing somebody to be able to escape appropriately. And then requirements for thermal runaway protection. Thermal runaway is described as a process that is accelerated by increased temperatures and turn releasing the energy that further increases the temperature of the battery. One gets hotter, it makes the battery hotter and causes a conflagration. That is all I have, and I will answer any questions.
Okay. There may be more questions after we read by caption only. Okay. Is there a motion to adopt on first reading ordinance number 2023-07 by caption only? Reading.
Second.
Okay. Just call for the vote. Tracy?
Motion carries unanimously. Ordinance number 2023-07, amending the code of ordinances of the city of Tomball, Texas by adding a new subsection FF-1 to section 20-28, amendments to the 2015 International Fire Code of Article 2, Fire Code of Chapter 20, fire prevention and protection, regulating the installation, operation, maintenance, repair, retrofitting, testing, commissioning, and decommissioning of energy systems used for generating or storing energy, providing for a penalty in an amount not to exceed 2,000 per day for violation of any provision hereof, which each day constituting a separate offensing. Yes, thank you. Providing a repealer, providing for severability, and making other findings related thereto.
Okay. Call for the vote.
For discussion?
No, I'm sorry. Is there a motion to adopt on first reading ordinance number 2023-07?
So we already done.
Yeah, I thought we'd already done that.
We already
Well, this
done
was the reading.
This is the actual reading of it.
Oh.
Adopt on
We
first
just
reading.
read
Oh, okay.
Actually, the reading.
Okay.
Yeah, we did the reading. This
Alright.
is the one for the adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Now discussion on this ordinance.
This
Any
is the way we
discussion?
do it, is it?
Yes.
Okay. Can we add a deal in there that they can't be within 500 foot, 1,000 foot of a railroad track or a house?
We can add that in. We did not take that into account, did not put that in there only because you still have the ability as a governing body to be able to say this particular piece of property in the zoning is not allowed.
Right.
This is only for the regulation of not necessarily the placement, but where we need to have our direction to be able to develop these if the council so chooses.
Right. Council will be able to address that in the conditional use permit process, which is what's required. In order to do that tonight, you have to bring this back because it's not contained.
Am I understanding you going to say that we will have, no matter who comes and what piece of property they're selecting to try to build one of these units, they will have to get a conditional use permit? There is no right by zoning type, correct?
Yeah, it's not permitted by right. It is a CUP.
Well, I thought we just did a zoning ordinance on it last time.
Right, and that is to require a CUP.
Okay, to
Right.
require. CUP.
Right.
Okay.
To allow these things by CUP. They weren't even defined or.
Okay.
Right. That was not on any one particular property, and neither is this ordinance here.
Okay.
This is only to amend the fire code. You would have the right to say this particular property for any particular reason. You added to the CUP, that kind of
You will
thing,
make
during
adjustments
those
to
property
each,
discussions.
Proposed development of these properties.
Individual.
Joe, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything in this that will affect private homeowners that have photovoltaic cells on their homes already that could possibly have a storage battery connected to it in their garage?
No, sir, this would only be on new ones. The amounts that it takes to power a house are lower than what's required by the fire code. This is more of the commercial development type. It does reference the residential code, but it only references that in smaller quantities.
So there's no effect on.
Would have no
And
effect.
and
no,
there's
sir.
no effect on gas generators for people's homes. And I'm talking about the natural gas ones that are permanently installed.
Correct.
And or somebody having to use a portable generator in the case of a power outage for their home. Those are not affected in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Okay.
No, those are not affected.
Or propane.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the portable generators, it's moving towards just the commercial uses. The residential uses is completely allowed, and everything is actually designed when it comes to those pre-done by this code, and they just tweak things here and there, much like they do anything else. Our generator at the fire station, for instance, could power much more than what it really does, but it's made to power our building directly. It's the same thing in a residential use. Those are designed specifically for that building with certain parameters. This does not meet those parameters. And
So it won't affect Drew and his new generators he's getting.
correct. Which I highly recommend, by the way.
You got pulled from underneath the bus that time.
He got it in before y'all voted on this ordinance. That's why.
Yeah, I noticed that.
That's quite a addition. I read through most of that, and that's very detailed.
It is, and that is actually one of the reasons when I started researching it, that's one of the reasons we did not make any changes to this at all, like we have with our fire codes in the past. This is directly adopted out of 2021.
Makes you want to see the rest of 2021 code, right?
Got it downloaded. You're welcome to my username. and
Was that
password.
was that a hint?
Uh,
Was that a hint?
It's coming.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussions or questions? All right, let's call for the vote.
Motion carried unanimously.
Okay. Next item is consideration to approve case CUP 2301, request by Ideco Investments LLC, represented by Michael Pierce for a conditional use permit to allow market open air land use with Old Town and mixed use. We need to do the public hearing first. Do the public. Okay, Nathan.
Mayor, Council, these next two items are actually going to be for the exact same location. We just separated out the conditional use permits, so just easier to understand what was being requested. So before you, we have the conditional use permit 23-01 for open air markets at this particular location. Here's an aerial map outlining the subject property. It's approximately right around a half an acre, located at the southwest corner of the intersection of North Oak Street and Commerce Street. The property has been inside the city limits since the city was created, and comprised of 8 different lots. The reason for request is for an open air market. Back in 2022, City Council approved an amendment to the City Code of Ordinances to define open air market and require that an approval for this type of use has a conditional use permit associated with it. An open air market is defined as a temporary outdoor marketplace where two or more vendors are on a private property, where produce, merchandise, food, or other products are distributed, offered for sale, or sold directly to the consumer. Conditional use permits provide an opportunity to further consider whether a particular use is appropriate for this given location based off of what is built around it. A conditional use permit provides an opportunity to require certain conditions that promote the compatibility of proposed use with the surrounding properties and land uses. As you'll notice later on is that staff is going to provide a list of those conditions that we have proposed to planning and zoning, which they've added to, and then you have the opportunity to add to that list if you deem appropriate afterwards. Some of the surrounding land uses are north and east of the existing property are single-family residential uses within the zoning district of Old Town Mixed Use. West of the subject property is an office and residence within Old Town Mixed Use. And then south of the property are a range of commercial uses within, again, the Old Town Mixed Use zoning district. The next show different slides and what those particular or what is on those respective properties. So if you see at the corner, the first slide on the top left-hand side is from Oak Street. And then the middle is from looking from that corner of from Commerce and Oak. And again, to the north, you'll see those single-family residential properties. To the south, you'll see those commercial properties that are along Main. The property to the west, this is kind of the open air portion of where the development will occur. And then there is a single-family residential property that is to the west. And then again, looking across Oak Street to another property across that street is also single-family residential. Old Town Mixed Use is a zoning district intended to provide a zoning mechanism for a variety of land uses within the Tomball town site, according to the City of Tomball Code of Ordinances. Old Town Mixed Use is a district in an area which many diverse land uses currently exist. The nature of this area, therefore, is a mixture of retail, commercial, and other non-residential uses, along with single-family and multifamily uses. The comprehensive plan endorses the continuation of this mixture of land uses in this area, and specifically states that retail, office, single-family, duplex, and multifamily are the most appropriate land uses for this area. Additionally, the subject property is on half a block of north of West Main, which is a major arterial that is often considered the heart of downtown Tomball. And it's customary to find a wide range of retail, entertainment opportunities at these locations and is close proximity to our main street. So in this particular slide, you'll see what the future land use plan has shown for this particular area, which is referred to as Old Town. The land use category is intended to create a highly walkable environment and promotes a distinct sense of place. Land uses could consist of a mixture of residential, office, retail, entertainment, restaurant, and public facilities. So the desire to establish an open air market here will promote the comp plan's intentions to have livable goals, and specifically by providing a variety of retail and entertainment opportunities within the Old Town and in close proximity to nearby residential neighborhoods. This proximity to downtown residential neighborhoods further encourages the comprehensive plan's objective, which is very key in making sure that we know what we want to do in this location, and in creating a mixture of land uses within a walkable environment. The request achieves the goal of creating these opportunities in the Old Town and local entrepreneurship within the Old Town area, while encouraging an event that will attract people to the community and provide opportunity for residents to socialize and provide fellowship. Here is a location of this is an idea of the site exhibit. It's my understanding that the applicant is going to provide a small minor adjustment to this to you today when he comes up and makes his presentation, but it shouldn't deviate very very much from what this idea is. So as you can see, the open air market are basically those white little tents that are shown there. And that's kind of how it will be laid out and when it is provided on site. Here is the next slide is just showing that we sent all of the proper notifications to the areas within 300 feet of this location. And then moving on to the recommendation. City staff recommended approval of this zoning case Z23-02 and planning and I'm sorry, 01 and planning and zoning commission recommended approving this zoning case with 4 yeas and 1 nay. They approved it with subject to these conditions. The hours of operation shall only be from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. There are no more than 12 outdoor vendors, booths, tents shall be permitted in total on lots 17 through 24. And restroom facilities must be provided during the open market hours of operation. And the restaurants shall be provided on site within adjacent businesses located within the boundaries of this conditional use permit. Portable restrooms facilities are prohibited. So we couldn't bring in any additional standalone restrooms for at any given time or porta potties. We wanted to make sure that you understood that in the section 50, which is the zoning ordinance -116, is temporary outdoor sales. We are asking for an exception to this, that the required distances from the main building shall only be 12 feet. So we're asking an exception to that particular requirement. An opaque fence wall must be provided along the western boundary of lot 17. And that will be at a minimum of 6 feet in height. And booths, tents, and outdoor sales displays must adhere to non-residential setbacks in OTMU. Subject to the following, which is at the front and rear setbacks, there are no minimums. And then the side setbacks, if it's adjacent to a commercial use, there is a no minimum. However, if adjacent to residential use, there'll be a 20-foot minimum there. This is the first application. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
We're going to have the public hearing and there'll probably be questions afterwards.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It is now 7:26 p.m. and we will open the public hearing on this project. Is there anyone wishing to speak or comment on this project?
Mayor, I have Salvador Medrano, who dropped off his public request to, he wanted me to read this. So basically, he is against the request of rezoning as explained in the attached public notice for case CUP 23-01, noise and nuisance across the street from my residential house.
Where does he live?
He is at 408 Commerce Street.
Okay. Can you show that on the map? Which one is 408 Commerce
I
Street?
believe it's the one. We just need to double check. I think I'm not exactly sure. I think it's the north side. So we're just gonna pull up the interactive
If
map.
you could go back to what you just had up, please. Oh, you're going to go interactive, that's fine. Because it showed it right there. He's directly across from them. 7 and 9 and 8's right across the street, directly across from the lot. Because we're talking about lots 7 and 9.
Is there businesses next to the, on that side, next to the house?
Immediately across the street.
Where's
To the
Manna?
north?
Where's Manna Bakery?
Down, it's between North Oak and Cherry.
It's 1 block down.
Further north or
Okay.
further. Keep moving it, Commerce. Okay, there's that. So it's gonna be the house right straight across. Yep,
Oh, okay.
directly across.
was 408.
It's the one on the corner of Commerce.
It's not gonna be that one. It's gonna be the one just east of there, I would think.
No,
Oh, it's
that's the
right,
one.
Commerce, there sure is.
No, I pinned it.
On the big one. Yeah, it's on the.
It's this one right
It's to the north side of that location.
It's a larger lot.
Is there anyone else signed up to speak?
We do not have anyone.
Is there anyone who would like to come speak on this project on any issue for time not to exceed 3 minutes? Otherwise, Derek will shut you down,
That's right.
as according to the law.
Hi, Mayor and Council. I'm Eric Sundin, Director of Da Vinci Gallery on 315 West Main Street. Unfortunately, it looks like Da Vinci Gallery may be history coming up soon. The owners have raised the rent beyond what we can pay and have a realtor looking for new tenants to come in. So it's important for us to have a place to have our art, sell our art. And we think that the open market at Commerce Street may be a good alternative for us to be able to create and sell and keep the art moving and the culture moving in Tomball. So I just wanted to mention that that may be a good location for us in the future. Okay, thanks.
Is there any other comments from the public? Anybody wishing to speak? Okay. It is now 7:40. And we will close the public hearing. Is there a motion to adopt on first reading ordinance number 2023-04 by caption only?
So moved.
Wait a minute, you got some more people instead of talking.
Well, we have the applicant here to make his presentation also.
Okay, it'll be during the discussion. All right.
No, no.
Oh, we have to do the public
Yeah,
hearing?
yeah.
Okay, well, we'll reopen the public hearing then at 7:41.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I think we'll find on that 408, I'm not 100% sure. I think that's a Hudson property, or it's the worker that works for Hudson. I believe that no one lives there. 408, I think you'll find it's a vacant house. The people that live the two houses across from us, we get along famously with those guys. Nobody turned in a letter saying that. So I'd like to research like what house that is, because it seems a little interesting to me. If it's the one on the corner, that's a white house that I've never seen anybody live in. I think if they said Salvador, only thing I know about him is I know he has like horses and stuff, and I've never seen horses there on that property right there. So I think that's a little suspicious. But let me just read my prepared thing so I don't get off track. I'm a little nervous. Please excuse me. So dear Mayor, Council, and the public, my name is Michael Pierce. I'm a local resident, shop owner, and property owner here in Old Tomball, Texas. I'm on Main Street 7 days a week at my little shop, and I love every minute of it. I'm also a property owner in Old Tomball, as well as a local artist and recent recording music artist, which we're really excited about. I'm also a father of 3 and a proud husband, a wife that keeps me in check most of the time. We love our Tomball life and have lived here for 20 years. I remember when we would walk the shops with our family and friends when we first moved to town. Back then, as many families do now, we are proud to be an influence of the landscape of Old Town Tomball. Our developments thus far that other families now come and check out and bring their loved ones when they first come to town are a shop that we've created called the Cloud Chief Store. I've made more friends since moving to Tomball and becoming a shop owner than I've ever had in my entire life. My mission is to help others have the same positive experiences by when they get involved with the community, businesses, meeting new friends, the customers, friends they make, and the general characters like myself that they meet around town. Here are a few of our past projects. The Cloud Chief & Co. store was a complete remodel with the help of the EDC. I run this shop on a daily basis. Like I mentioned, it's right on Main Street. It's an interesting shop that celebrates Native American culture as well as Americana folk art. The store has been continuously in operation since 1950 in one form or another. It's a real interesting story. It used to be a dress shop in the 50s and it was a pet store. And we celebrate each of those and also a Native American art store. We celebrate each of those in our own way. Come by one day and I'll give you the history of the shop. It's super interesting. Another development is a terrarium store. It's right next door. That was a complete remodel. That place was falling apart. It was a terrible shape. We did a complete remodel again with the help of the EDC, and it is a plant lover's paradise. If you've never been there, it's got those little indoor plants that everybody's crazy about. We recently purchased a new property, the one here in question on Oak, and we helped get a renter in one of them called the Blue Bonnet. It's an all Texas wine tasting room. With their help and the EDC's help, that place has been renovated. It's beautiful. People love it. And again, it's Texas wine and beer. Next to it, on the same property, we also help with a place called the Weird Sister. It's a woman's boutique clothing store, also a social room and bar. And she also operates a upstairs a public like special events business upstairs. Super cool. And last but not least is my favorite, the smallest little honky tonk in Texas. That's a creative little space that we built there out of what would have been, it was a building built in the 1950s, and we took good care of it. And that is a music venue that's only opened once a month, but it has been the talk of town. We're trying to build a little Lukenbach there with this personality that does music, and it's really going well. Okay, so those are some projects that we've done so far. And also one of my favorites is we painted the Pickle Man back green. It used to be white, and nobody really liked that because it used to be green in the 80s. We did that, and I literally became a celebrity in town for about 2 months. Everyone was super happy about that. People were waving at me. The team reseller ladies across the street gave me a hug one day and said, "Thank you for painting the Pickle Man." So we care about town. Everything I do is for the betterment of town, in my opinion. We are currently seeking approval to help bring another fun space to town with our Commerce Street Market space, which renovates a long abandoned area of town with what we're calling a low impact development that would not take away from the large green space in the area. Some beautiful tree there. There's like a 150, 200-year-old tree there on the spot that we love. I think it's like maybe the third oldest tree in Old Town. There's a lot of nice trees there. It's a real cool green space that we kind of want to keep that. Like, we don't want to tear that down. We like the idea that there's a park kind of there. So what we're proposing is a art and craft market space, a place for local artists and crafters and entrepreneurs to share their creations on Saturday. And we really are adamant about a little Sunday market too. I'm here on Sundays. It's a ghost town. We do great business on Saturdays. And if I'm honest, we do terrible business Monday through Friday at my little store. One of the reasons I wanted to run the store is so that I could know what shop life's like in Old Town. You're going to find soon some little shops will be going out of business that we really love in town. And I know why, because I'm here every day. And our struggle is the Monday through Friday and Sundays. It's a Saturday town. So we're trying to get a little bit of a Sunday life for the businesses and a little bit of maybe more destination things for people to come through on the weekdays. So our art market, we think, does that, gets a little bit of Sunday commerce going, which is fun. We'll do night markets just every now and then. We had some original hours that were kind of crazy. I'm an old oil field hand. I get up at 5 a.m. I work all day and night. So when I do store hours, they're crazy and long. I put that on there just out of habit. We're not going to be open like those crazy hours we had mentioned before. We're going to be on Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday. It's not going to be all the time like people think. There are tents that'll pop up, they'll go down. And we were doing it for a while before we knew that we could not, and we never had a complaint from a neighbor, except for evidently this vacant house on the corner that no one lives in. So that's what we're trying to do there. Our market hours we have are like Saturday 9 to 3, Sunday 12 to 4. As we grow, we won't even be doing Sunday until I have enough vendors and honestly public awareness, because it is ghost towns on the weekends, on Sundays. We'll do occasional night markets on Fridays as we grow, and maybe special events like when we have the sip and strolls and other little things around town. Okay, so all the vendors will go through a selective registration and approval process. It's not going to be a flea market. When we first started out, we were trying to see if there's any action, right? If it was something that the community liked. So, but we're going to be real selective. My wife's in charge of that. If you don't know her, she's pretty selective. So it's not going to be flea market people or just any run of the mill. We're looking for artists, crafters, and entrepreneurs that are looking to step into brick and mortars. If there were any brick and mortars in town, which there isn't. So that's what we're doing there. And then the second part of that is the food trailer part, where we're just requesting, because with this, you would need some food, and we want to do like 2 or 3 little food trucks there. That's a small food court just that runs parallel with the back alley. And let me hand you this too. This is the Revive. did a real makeshift on that one. I do apologize. This is a little bit better.
And Mr. Pierce is the presenter, so that's why he has more than 3 minutes. This is his project. In the public hearing.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys. And so you'll see that this whole property we own. So we really started developing one thing after the other, kind of envision of a whole space there. And we've moved the art tents, which are the white squares, away from the fence line. We had some feedback from Megan at the restaurant there on the corner. She's really adamantly against the fence because she loves being able to see the green belt that goes all the way through there. Her customers can walk through there from the market. When we've had her market, when we did do our market, before we knew that we couldn't, her business was good and she was super happy. She was going to try to be here today, but she could not. But she wanted me to relay to y'all that the market was great for her business days. They're struggling over there too. It's a struggle in business in Old Tomball. And I know that for a fact because I'm here 7 days a week. Megan can attest, and I think soon you'll see some other things in town that will lead more to what I'm talking about. But so we moved those away from the fence. Another thing, everyone is concerned about that property there. There's a young man that lives there, super nice guy named Ash. He lives on the second floor. No matter what size fence I build, he's going to see it. He's never made a complaint about the market. Again, it's low impact. They come and go. The other place is an oil field supply of some kind. It's an office. It's not a residential. So we'd like to consider the fence because we think also those people have a beautiful view of this green belt all the other days of the week that we're not doing the market. It's a beautiful little park area. So putting a fence there, I think I don't think they would actually like that. So I know the other person on the other deal had an issue with the privacy there, but I think they like the open space. So I would like you to consider that being, that's why I moved all the tents closer to my buildings because now they're right close to my buildings. The food trailers, we also moved from the original plan. It dawned on me that this alleyway project is coming through. The alley is, I don't want to get too in the dirt on that, but the alley is an old alleyway where people store old food and, trash cans and all that. And as we beautify that, we thought, hey, it'd be great to move the trucks up there and be parallel as close to the alleyway we can get. And this will be one of the very first developments that caters to this new alleyway project. Also low impact. We're only wanting to do 2 trucks really, because that's the minimum, but we want to have, possibly for a third one if we get it. We have the first truck is a great crawfish. They've won rewards. We have possibly barbecue. We want to do pizza and actually give the pizza man a reason to be holding that big pizza that he has down there on Main Street. And then we have a great dog treat, organic dog treat girl, a lady who's got a big business and she's moving here from Washington. And she's super excited about putting that there. It's organic dog treats. She makes one for me at my shop for 3-legged dogs because we get a lot of 3-legged dogs in there. So that's super fun. And I think that is going to be, let me just double check, make sure. Also, food truck hours are not going to be crazy. We're not trying, I kind of made a mistake with those other hours. As we grow, right now, we want to be open for lunch. We want to give some nice affordable options for lunchtime. I like to be able to walk over and grab something kind of light and relatively inexpensive to eat. All vendors will be subject to the Harris County food permitting and health inspections. That'll be in the local permitting that's required by y'all. And I think that's it. And we thank you for consideration and we look forward to enjoying some of these spaces with y'all too. And thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I can answer them.
We're still in the public hearing. Would anybody like to ask Mr. Pierce some questions? They cannot talk to each other, but we can talk to the applicant. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this project? Okay. We are closing the public hearing at 7:53. And is there a motion to adopt on first reading ordinance number 2023-04 by caption only? This is for reading.
Motion. Second.
Okay. Call for the vote.
I'm good.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay.
Ordinance number 2023-04, an ordinance of the city of Tomball amending chapter 50 zoning of the Tomball Code of Ordinances by issuing a conditional use permit for approximately 0.46 acres of land legally described as being lot 17 through 24 in block 18 of the revised map of Tomball, located at the southwest corner of Commerce Street and Oak Street at 401 through 4019 Commerce Street within the city of Tomball, Harris County, Texas, providing for the amendment of the official zoning map of the city, providing for severability, providing for a penalty of an amount not to exceed 2,000 for each day violation of any provision hereof, making findings of fact and providing for other related matters.
Is there a motion to adopt on first reading ordinance number 2023-04?
So
Second.
Discussion.
There's a typo in section 5, line 1 of the ordinance. I believe it's a typo. I don't think we'd be following additional limitations or restrictions or conditions. I think it should be limitations. He's got a long face. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
We'll make the correction, sure. Yeah.
Tracy, may I ask who was the person who gave the letter, who was against it? What was the person's name?
It was dropped off at our office today, Salvador Medrano at 408 Commerce Street.
Okay, because I just want to go on record. According to HCAD, Salvador and Teresa Medrano are the legal owners of that lot, not the Hudsons. So I just want to go on record. I don't care who he works for.
I don't care who you work for.
I have a question. Where are the restrooms going to be on this project?
I'll be, they're actually in the locations of the Blue Bonnet and the other standalone bar or restaurant that is already there. But Michael might be able to give you the exact
I'm under
location.
the impression the Blue Bonnet and the Weird Sister are already leased out to other people. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So how can he speak for somebody else that's leasing the property?
They have been given approval to utilize those bathrooms when necessary.
What if they say no?
Sure. Come on.
Michael, come on.
So they're my properties on that land. So when this was all the development. So when we first brought them in, we told them what we're building and that's what we're doing. So it's all under agreement and they're my properties. I would,
Well, I understand you're the owner of the property,
Yeah.
but they leased the property from you for their businesses.
correct. And that's part of the agreement is that the restrooms are for public use. I don't know if you're aware of it, in Old Town Tomball, most of the businesses don't let people use their restrooms. So when we rent to somebody, we make sure that they're going to let customers use the restrooms. That's part of our agreement.
What happens if they go out of business?
If they go out of business, sir, then I would find another renter. We have a line of renters that want those buildings. I'd make the same agreement with them.
So this is in the lease agreement that
This is in our lease agreement.
but they
yes.
do not have to stay open your whole hours. They can stay open.
They'll be
their
open
own
this, yeah, we're all
business
kind of open the
hours.
same hours. It's like a development. Yeah, we're all open the same hours.
Okay, and that's in their lease agreement.
Yes.
At P and Z, you said that the only kind of music would be played is with a guitar or something like that.
Well, we have our little honky tonk. We play indoors. Outside would be if like I have a flute player that comes every now and then during the market, light
Well, I'm gonna
acoustic.
put a condition on it. I'm trying to get them to vote that there can be no amplified music outside.
I agree. That sounds like a good idea.
And nothing past 10 o'clock.
Yeah, we would not do anything like that. The market would never be open.
But there'd never be any amplified music on the CUP.
Okay.
Well, I think the city also brought up, Nathan, did you bring up that they had to have sidewalks? And there was a discussion on that in the parking?
So yeah, this is just for the land use. So when the site plan comes in for the food truck, they'll have to submit for the food truck or mobile food truck court that they'll have to submit for a site plan. And at that particular time, we would we would enforce there to be, just like we would anywhere else, that they would have to follow up with sidewalks and other things of that nature. And or they would be offered the same, if there was a reason for them to pay into that fund versus putting the sidewalks in, that would be given the opportunity to do so.
And the parking can be crushed gravel.
Actually, in this particular location, they don't have to provide parking because they're within that allotment of where parking is not necessary. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's not on this one, so that makes sense. Okay.
And then in regards to the amplified music, I mean, technically, the way that it would be run is that it would have to follow the same noise ordinance in chapter 18.
We can put a separate on this. That's what Jared told me at the deal. But Lauren said we can put a stipulation that it cannot be amplified, because I don't want to amplify music during church services. I don't want to amplify music, that's at night. You've got a 6.5 during the night and 7.5 during the day. But that's still too loud for the church and everything that's close enough to hear it. So no amplified music.
Understood. I was just going to say it's still governed by the ordinance regardless, by the noise ordinance, whether it's inside the CUP or not, but I understand where you're coming from now.
Well, you could put in the CUP.
Yeah, I understand. I understand what you're saying. Yes, yes, sir.
So we can put restrictions, as Councilman Dunnigan suggests, inside the CUP.
I know that the Da Vinci's came up, and I believe Da Vinci's also in their art room. They have alcoholic beverages for purchase, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. I noticed that right now we have 3 entities that you own that you're leasing out to folks that have some sort of alcohol sales. Is that correct? Only 2, which would be the Honky Tonk and the Blue Bonnet Wine Tasting.
I'll get it strictly music.
Okay, so the Weird Sister and the Blue Bonnet. Are you gonna be allowing alcohol sales out of any of these tents at any point in time?
And you can't leave those places that do sell. They have a little barrier. It's part of the rules.
So that you can't bring drinks from Blue Bonnet into the.
You can't take them outdoors, just like all of the other restaurants and bars in town. You can't do that. Only on their little courtyard.
So I have a question, Michael. I've been in your shop. It's pretty neat.
Thank you.
The tents, let's talk about the tents for a minute. The one thing I'd really, and I've heard you say, these tents will be mostly on the weekends, maybe expanding to a Friday night, right?
Right.
So they won't be there any other time during the week or anything.
We're not, yeah, there's no reason for them to be there any time of the week. We do want to have options for, like I said, special occasions, and maybe there's a Wednesday, maybe the vendors band together and say, hey, let's all open on a Wednesday afternoon or something like that, but it will not be not anything that would be regular.
So right now, the plan is Saturday and Sunday. And so if a vendor sets up a tent on Saturday, is he going to keep that tent up Saturday night into Sunday,
No.
or are they going to
They
take
gotta
it
tear
down?
every night, yeah.
Take it down
Yeah.
every night.
Nothing
Okay.
gets left up. We're gonna have really uniform white tents. But yeah, it becomes a green belt when they're gone, which is
Okay.
why we're against the fence and stuff, because it's a beautiful space and this is again, low impact on the space. It's
Yeah, and you'd mentioned that fence. Well, I'm a little unclear as to where that fence is being
it's on the,
proposed.
I guess that's the east side. There's the west side.
Where, west side of the
Yeah.
green space?
I can point it if you like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's gonna be that. There's already a fence there.
Okay.
It's like partly, but they want it to go all the way. And like I said, Megan, well, you'll hear from her because that's gonna block her customers from seeing the beautiful view that they have.
This is Megan.
No, Megan's right here. She's
Oh,
at
okay.
Pine Street Eats and Sweets.
But this is a residence here?
Back
or-
half's a residence and then down below is like small engine repair.
Uh-huh.
He lives on top and then in the front is an office that someone's there.
Okay, all right.
Once a week. It's a little bit of stuff.
Well, I know that we have these kind of tents springing up all over town. And I mean, the brewery does it down here on special occasions and stuff like that. And so we see shopkeepers doing it out on their sidewalks and in their parking lots and stuff like that. And it does attract a lot of attention. I just didn't want this turning into like a tent city kind of situation. So that was my main
Yeah,
concern.
they're gone every night and won't be back till the next day they come up.
Perfect.
And all week long, they won't be there either. So that's the beauty of it.
For uniformity throughout our entire community, with this being a potential here, would it not be wise for us to set up some kind of specification for these tents so that we have uniformity? Because if you get 40 different colors out there, I don't know if that's something we really want to have, 40 different sizes. If we had some kind of a uniformity, and if we can let them have some say-so in it, I'm not trying to take that away from you, but at the same time, we need to have uniformity in areas so that it doesn't look like it's a hodgepodge.
Agreed. Again, we want it to be very cool looking and modern
Understand.
looking, and there'll be no different colored tints or academy tints. It's all uniform like white or
That's
something.
fine.
Yeah.
I don't care if there's a couple of colors. It just, I don't want it to be an orange tint here. and
No,
a
we want it to be
purple tint.
uniform and cool looking.
Are you proposing that be part of the CUP?
Yeah.
I would not be in favor of that.
You would not?
No, because, I mean, a lot of these vendors have their names on the tents and decorative things on that, and as long as they're not permanent, I mean, that's part of the creativity of it. And I mean, it's not permanent, it's temporary, and so it's there one day and gone the next, so I don't really see that being an issue.
Well, I've been through towns and communities where they do have specifications and stipulations for the tinting. And it really looks nice when it's all the same versus when you've got 3 or 4 different sizes and you've got all kinds of advertising all over and everything else. That to me is, the purpose of this is to make our downtown look good. To make this area look good, to make this area look like it's special. And it needs to be applied, like I said, this is Sandy, citywide. If you're gonna put these tents out here and you're gonna utilize them, even if you're taking them down, we would like to have some say-so so that we have uniformity and it's a crisp, now this is my OCD, okay? Things like that just bug the crap out of me.
Yeah, I just think it's unrealistic to think that vendors that would be coming from.
He's supplying the tents.
No, people will have to uniformly supply a tent that meets our guidelines.
Okay, so he's setting up the guidelines.
Yeah.
But that will affect our farmer's market to have it uniformly, would it? The tents at the farmer's market?
Our tents are uniform. They all have to be 10 by 10 tents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are
But
they the
the-
same?
And they're required to have at least 25-pound weights per leg because it gets really windy in Tahoe. So,
Okay.
And they have to be in good working order, but that's all.
You don't have any color restrictions or anything like that on the canopies
No,
themselves?
not at all. That would impede a lot of,
Okay.
because a lot of these are small businesses just
Yeah.
starting out and they go to Academy and get. a 10
Exactly.
It says
Yeah.
Academy.
So as long as they're in good working order and they're not broken and they have the weights, that pretty much gets us okay with our business liability insurance that we require them to have as well.
Right.
Yeah, and you can go and buy a 10 by 10 or 10 by 12 or whatever the requirement is. That's not the issue. The issue is color and stuff like that, because it's just not realistic to think that vendors that are going to come from all these different places can all coordinate and get one color.
Well, we're being limited only 12 vendors, and we did that as a respect because we thought nobody really liked this idea since we've had their issues before. So we're doing only 12, so it won't be that big. Of a
Yeah, I
deal.
mean, if you want to do it, that's
Yeah,
fine,
yeah.
but.
Oh, yeah,
but-
right, when you're bigger ones, yeah.
But, you know, I just think to put it citywide is not realistic.
And Brenda brought up business insurance.
Oh, yeah,
You would
they'll have to have that.
all
We're
your
going to be probably, we're going to be very restrictive and selective on that. Yeah, my wife's taking over that, and it's going to be a little different than what I normally do. So it's going to be very hard. Yeah, I feel sorry for the people applying. So,
Well, ordinances are not guidelines, they are the rules.
yeah,
So,
But wife's not.
they are the rules.
Is there going to be power provided to these?
So that's part of the food truck part. We're going to be putting in a pole, and each one will have, the 2 food trucks will have their individual poles, and then the power will run from there too. Yes. So they will be, if you approve the food truck one, they will have power. If you don't approve the food truck one, the art market kind of dies, because without those food vendors, the art market doesn't really get, just like the farmer's market, the food and everything works together as that. So, but yeah, they will be electricity provided. It'll be, yes, sir.
Would any of them be able to bring generators?
No, we're not allowing generators or anything like that. It's just loud and noisy. So yeah, they're not going to do that. Yeah. And that was another reason with the fence. Someone thought there'd be generators and there's not going to be. So yeah, there'll be no generators allowed.
Yeah, from the generator side of things, it's within what they have to meet within the mobile food truck court ordinance. If they did have a generator, they'd have to provide some sound sort of buffering or abatement for the generator itself, as called out within the ordinance that's already in existence. And if you wanted to go further on that, like Councilman Dungan said, is that you would just add that into the conditions as part of the CUP.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Pierce? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have had a motion and a second. Let us call for the vote.
Well, may I say one thing?
Yes.
If we call for the vote with the way that you're calling it right now, he's going to have to construct the fence the entire way. Is that correct?
That's the way it's written up right now.
Well, there were some things added to the CUP. So
Well, we haven't
it was-
added to the motion.
Yeah, there's nothing.
It's gonna be added to the motion.
You got an amendment over with Councilman Stoll was saying about talking about the fence. I believe that's what you're referring to, that you want to make an amendment on that.
No, I want to keep the fence the entire way. I don't want there to be any preference given to one over another.
And Dane has, but Dane has an amendment.
Right.
Dane wants to have no amplified sound.
No amplified sound outside.
So we need
So
to,
we do, who holds the motion?
I hold the motion. So therefore, we need to hold, allowing, well, if I say yes,
We need to take a vote to allow you to amend your motion.
okay.
Okay,
Can I say one more thing?
certainly.
And I understand the fence, we'll do it if you want it. I would like to plead with you to think about it because you're gonna make, again, there's a beautiful green belt there. If you're not familiar with the property, it's a shame to make that call without walking it. The front yard of the office and going into ours is one of my favorite space up there. We'll put the fence up right in the middle of it, but it's a shame. So I wish someone would come walk it before they make that decision.
Well, but my issue is if I do it for you, then I have to do it for everybody else in this community. And we don't show preference one over the other.
Is the fence, the style of the fence, is it privacy or is it?
It
that
says, in
open?
here- it says, in here.
It does? Okay. All right.
Yeah, it would be opaque. However they want to construct it from there, as long as you will be able to see through.
The question is, we don't need a second or anything, but we need to take a vote on whether or not Derek can amend his motion to include no amplified sound.
Okay.
So we need
So we need
to
to
take a vote
entertain-
to see if I can change my amendment or not,
So,
or my vote, take my motion.
right, so
I'm
we
brain
need,
dead, guys.
so we need a motion to.
We need to vote on whether or not he can amend this motion.
Okay.
Call for a vote on the amendment or allowing me to amend it.
So this is going to be just, do I need another motion second for the amendment?
No.
Okay,
You just need a
so we
vote
just need to call for the vote on the amendment,
on whether or not he can amend.
whether you can amend the motion that you made
You're not
before.
voting for
Correct.
the amendment, you're voting on whether or not he can amend.
Correct.
Right. So.
Call for the vote.
Call for the vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Now we need to have, do we not need another motion in
We need-
second? We just need a vote on Derek's amended motion with no amplified sound.
That's correct.
Okay,
So vote again.
so I'm going to call for the vote on the motion, the change in the motion that there will be no amplified sound outside.
Oh, that's right. She's right. She's right. So vote, call for the vote. Still has the fence in it, Mark.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. Right. Next item on the agenda is to consider to approve case CUP 23-02. Request by Deco Investments LLC, Michael Pierce for a conditional use permit to allow the mobile food truck court. Nathan?
So I'll try to abbreviate my presentation since it is the exact same location. And what they're basically doing is asking for a mobile food truck court. I'll go right to the recommendation from City Council, I'm sorry, from Planning and Zoning Commission and city staff. City staff recommends approving zoning case 23-02. Planning and Zoning Commission also recommended approving the zoning amendment from with 4 yeas and 1 nay. And so they have, and I'd like to walk through those, the subject of conditions that go along with that. Their hours of operation again would be 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. No more than 4 mobile food truck vendors shall be permitted in the total of these lots in this location. I know Michael had stated that he's going to start out with 2. We're putting a limit of 4 altogether. So again, that is up for consideration. Restroom facilities again would be required in those locations as we had previously discussed. They would also have to follow all of the existing ordinance requirements under section 50-116 subsection J, which is site development standards for mobile food truck courts. Again, they would have to follow that regardless. An opaque fence would also be necessary, and the setbacks would be the same as called out before. No minimums on if they had a commercial land uses beside them. But however, if there's residential, we would have a 20-foot setback as a minimum. So if there's any questions or concerns, I'd be happy to answer those at this time.
Okay. We'll have the public hearing. It is now 8:15 and we will open the public hearing on case CUP 23-02. Is there anyone wishing to speak?
We do not have anyone signed up.
Okay. Does the applicant want to speak again on the food truck court?
Well, I did get an angry text from Mitchell Holdenreath, who would like to be included in the Pickle Man painting. He did give me permission to do that. So just like, I got a
He
little
did give you
notification. He gave me permission, of course. Yeah. We wouldn't have done it otherwise. Yeah. He asked us to do it. Yeah, he asked us to do it. Yeah.
Okay.
I just told him I wanted to
assumed
get in
so.
trouble if we.
He's
could.
not here, so I assume he
Yes,
gave
he
you
is here.
permission.
Oh, no, he's here.
Oh, you are
Yeah,
here.
yeah. So thanks for Mitchell for that. So, so yeah, it's the same presentation I just made. If you like, I can make it again. Okay, but like I do say, the food and everything kind of works together, just like the farmer's market. Without a little food, the market kind of dies and vice versa. So we're trying to create a little spot. We're going to be very low impact and really 2, 3 trucks. I can't imagine ever wanting 4. I appreciate that, but and if we did maybe something way down the line. So, but we appreciate your consideration. Like I said, we're going to be very respectful of the space, and everything that we do is also because we love town and we want to make something fun that we think would be good.
Okay.
Any question?
So any questions on this? All right. Is there anyone else that wants to speak? Yes. Thank you. You were under the 3-minute word. You're
what?
not the applicant.
Oh,
So
okay.
your
Yeah,
name
no,
and
that's
address,
fine.
please.
I don't have much. Again, this is Amanda Kelly and do I need to state my address again? 19710 Rippling Brook Lane, Tomball, Texas, 77375. I actually have a question for the applicant because I'm confused because as you can, if you look on social media for both the Blue Bonnet, their hours are from like noon until 8 o'clock. And then for Twisted Sister, she has varying hours. They're not open all days or all times. So that brings in question the restroom issues that may come up that you all mentioned before. And also on Cloud Chief's social media posts, when they're talking about the honky tonk, there is a post very recently on March the 3rd where they state that those 2 places are open for alcohol and that the people who are visiting the honky tonk can go and get their alcohol from those locations and that they would also be offering table service. Are they not doing that? That does break TABC's laws on what they're allowed to do. Can you answer, Michael, would you be willing to answer those questions for us?
So our hours will coincide and we'll work that out where the food trucks are open when they're open, period. It's the weekend, they're open on the weekends. I don't see a problem there. I appreciate that though. Also per the TEBC, I don't know that acronym, but the Weird Sister has contacted them and the Blue Bonnet about the rules and they're very well of the rules. they can have a courtyard. And so on our show nights, which is one night a month, they courtyard in the front of our space where people can, the courtyard just grows. There's a concrete thing there. So they go in there, get a drink, and they walk over and sit inside the honky tonk and go back and forth. So we don't serve drinks there, but they are able to encroach us with their, as long as there's a barrier and the people don't go out from that area. And once again, since it's my property, I could equally just give them the honky tonk. But we kind of try to keep it different names because again, we're creatively trying to create different spaces in town. It's what I'm trying to do. But yeah, we are able to do that per the rules. They've contacted them and been given the okay by that. And especially, so as long as you have a chain that goes around or a barrier and people don't go out of that, that chain can grow, especially since the whole property is essentially under that. So they could take that chain out further if they wanted to, but they just encroach the honky tonk on those nights and people walk in and go back and forth. Yes.
So if your statement, there's just there, we can move the barrier if we want to. You can move the barrier so the whole stinking piece of property could have alcohol on it if you wanted to.
Technically, the Weird Sister or that place could do that since it's all one property. Technically, they could. Yeah, we don't plan on never doing that, but that is correct. Yeah, that barrier can grow.
Again, we, as this body goes, sitting up here making these decisions, there has to be some sort of guarantee for the citizenry of this town. And I understand you own a piece of property. I understand that you're trying to do something. I respect you for that. But we are the ones that get the phone calls that, hey, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's up to us to make sure that the rules are established. It's up to PD to enforce it if it has to do with breaking of laws. Sometimes your cavalier attitude that you show up here, sir, really just makes me wonder, do you really understand what you're doing?
Yes, sir, I do. I'm relatively successful at it too, but I fully understand what you're saying. Maybe we could do a thing that says no alcohol in that other area. It'd be totally okay. I think that's a great idea to do that. But let me tell you who's more worried about than Amanda or y'all, the people that have those licenses that spent $20,000 and $30,000 for them. They do not want to take a risk of getting in trouble for that. So they will not adhere to any rule that can't be done by that. So they are sticklers on that stuff because they have a lot of money invested in that. So those people who they have the most invested in the actually monetary wise, they're not interested in breaking those rules, and neither are we.
Okay, so those two places do actually have liquor license.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of rules that go along with that, and
Yeah,
they
I
are,
know
and
there
it
is.
is,
I know there is.
they're very strict on them, and exactly, yeah. And they're, like I said, they're more interested than even Amanda is about those rules being broke, because they could lose their license, and then all the money they put into the property and
Yeah,
all the
they
thing
lose
they've
it all.
done gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, nobody's interested in breaking rules.
So Weird Sisters has one pending or has one?
No, they have one, yeah.
And so does Blue Bonnet.
Yes. Well, Blue Bonnet's
Wine
just
tasting.
beer and wine. The other one's a full bar.
Yeah,
Weird Sisters
I
then?
think the one thing that would concern me is, if you move the chain out to basically the property boundaries, they're not breaking any rules because it's all into one
I
property.
mean, technically,
correct?
you're right. Yeah, we have no intention of doing that, but yeah.
And
technically
so,
you're
I
right.
mean, we could have a kind of a street party on your entire piece of property.
And I could be wrong about that because they are, they may have like a boundary that goes out per their license. I'm not sure about that. Yeah, so they have they may have like so many feet out or something like that, I would assume. Yeah, because like you said, then you just, any bar here could just put that boundary out. That's, but I'm sure there's a rule about that.
How far is that, sir? Did you?
I don't know particularly, you have to contact them, but they have to get approved by TACV. They have to get a certain area that can be encompassed. They have to get that approved by TACV.
Okay.
And it's only what they approve. So the new thing that they have done, they actually contacted them and got that extra section approved by them. So it actually encompasses that. But if they want to do like add the whole lot to it, we would have to get TACV to approve that whole lot being a thing, which would probably never.
All right, thank you.
And we would never do that anyway. We have no desire to have everybody drinking, walking around that whole property.
Is there? Okay.
What
thank
are
you.
going to
Oh.
be the rules that you impose on the food trucks?
Well, we mainly the Harris County food truck, the health inspector rules. That's be the first thing. We all, and then being respectful and, I don't know what kind of rules really we would need to do, but no more than any other place would have, be adhere to your permitting, have your insurance, those sort of things like that. And then be something that we like food wise and that people like.
So they will have to register with the city.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. All the rules that they have to do legally. They would do, yes, sir.
And would the food trucks leave every evening?
There'll be trailers that stay there. There'll be 2 to 3 trailers that stay there. Trailers, not necessarily trucks, but yeah, trailers.
You know they can't do that, don't you?
Well, that's what I'll let someone else answer that question.
Yeah, Nathan needs to come back. According to Harris County, they can't.
Okay, I mean,
You have to
that's.
you have to have a commissary, and in order to have a commissary, you have to do the same things at 403.
So so there's some rules that the city put in place about food trucks. You have to have certain things to be able to get the special permit, just like 403 Eats. The commissary, you go and you have someone you sign up with. We are in talks with 403 Eats. If they allow us, great. If not, we'll find another one. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I talked to Mayor Fagan, but that was, that's not true, I guess. So that's news to me. And but sorry, that's pretty. That's pretty. bad. But hold on, no, let me just say. Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
So regardless, so what we're deciding tonight is that whether they could have a food truck court, right? So that would be from the land use side of things. And then after that, they would have to follow all the rules and regulations that any other mobile food truck court would have to do in the city. So whatever rules and regulations need to be followed by 403 Eats or any other one that comes on down the road at a different time, they would have to follow all the regular rules and that are already in place under chapter 50. And I think it's chapter 32. But either way, it's like they still have to meet all that. We're not giving them with this CUP any sort of, they're not getting a free pass to do anything different than any other place that has a mobile food truck court within the city of Tomball.
I mean, 403 Eats is set up as a commissary. There, as far as I know, there's only one in Harris County is what I'm under the impression of. And you said 2 things tonight that I sort of, in reference to Councilman Townsend, what he said. One is you made an accusation of who owned a piece of property that you were wrong about. Now you made this statement about you're in talks with 403 Eats.
You'll find I'm telling the truth, sir.
They're not.
You'll find I'm telling the truth.
I have an issue with the bathrooms, and I'll tell you why. You mentioned about somebody eating crawfish. If I owned the Weird Sister, who is a boutique, and somebody had messy hands from eating crawfish, last thing I would want them to do is walk through my store because they would be wiping their hands on every piece of clothing all the way to the bathrooms. I don't think that's right. I'm just going to go on record. I'm voting against this for the food court.
Well, the businesses, they're excited about it because it brings them business. So, but I understand your point of view, sir.
But I'm just telling you how my vote's going to be.
I understand, sir.
So you can take me out of the picture.
And just like I
You know where
said,
stand.
if the food truck goes, sadly, there's no point in the art market because it dies. So that's what's the sad part about that. But I understand you. I understand your point of view, sir.
No,
So,
I'm not taking the blame for it.
no, I know. I understand. And the fence as well. I understand that too. We'll do what you want to do. Anything you ask us to do. I think it's a shame, but I fully understand your point
I
of view,
mean,
sir.
if you wanted to put in your own bathrooms, that's.
Yeah,
a whole nother
as we
deal.
grow, we actually plan to do that. But again, we
But
want to make sure that it
business owners
works.
have to account for that upfront.
Yeah.
Not later.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of things I've been told.
We have three
for the
we have
14
three
years I've been
restrooms.
on this council, what they're going to do later, and they've never
Well,
had.
we have 3 restrooms on that site, closer than the farmer's market has, closer than other places have. Plus, if you consider all the businesses in town that don't even let people use their restrooms, I have 3 restrooms on that site,
What
plus
are
my
the
couch.
hours-
I have
what
4
are the
restrooms in
hours of The
town.
Blue Bonnet?
The Blue Bonnet is off the top of my head, I don't know, but they will adhere to whatever hours we ask them to do for these things. Again, I am the renter, I'm the landowner, I am I set the rules on that. You got me flustered and I do apologize. But they're all working together, we are like a conglomerate of people working together for a good here. They're all on board with what we're doing. They signed up for what we're trying to do.
I mean, I hear it from you.
But I have 4
Are
restrooms.
they here?
I have 4 restrooms. No, I didn't ask them to be here. I didn't ask them to be here. But I have 4 restrooms in town, sir. Within walking distance, that I own 4 restrooms within walking distance of that I let people use for good or bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay, and my store is open nonstop, 7 days a week. They can use my restroom. It's a short walk from there. So I have 4 restrooms within walking distance of that place for the record that I'm letting people use when you have many businesses in town that won't even let people use their one single restroom for multiple reasons. So I do take issue with that, just like I take issue with the fence. You're making a terrible mistake there. It's a beautiful little green belt and you're putting a fence right through it, but without even walking it. But I fully understand your point of view and I
I've
respectfully.
been by it many times. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah. Okay, but again, but that I understand, but I do have 4 restrooms on that within walking distance of that property.
Is there
Sure.
any other? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Is there any other questions? Mark, did you have any other comments
I'm
on the
done.
applicant?
I have some, and
Okay.
these are going to be between Michael and Nathan. So
Okay.
Nathan, so will this food court, proposed food court, be governed by the peddler ordinance?
No, sir.
Okay, so the hours of operation associated with that
It-
are not
it-
applicable.
The hours of operation, what we currently have suggested in the conditions are what we're proposing right now, which will be, I think it was 10 a.m. through, or no, 7 a.m. through 10 p.m.
Because and this is just a question, does this apply to food trucks? Where the hours are 10 a.m. To 8 p.m. Saturday and Sunday?
If that is the one that's called out in the peddlers,
Yeah.
so the peddlers portion is the one where you are a single food truck and you need to
So
operate
doesn't
in.
apply.
That is
That's
correct.
what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so second question, this is subsection or section 3211 of the mobile food vendors. So each will be equipped with portable trash receptacle, will be able to properly dispose of solid waste and wastewater. And so, Michael, you said that those trailers are going to stay there all weekend. How are they going to? It's my understanding from the health department is that wastewater has to be dumped every
And
day.
they go to the commissary. There's other commissaries across town. I don't, 403, it's not the only commissary in the world in
Right.
Houston. They can go as far and wide to use a commissary if they need to, but for the record, I spoke about that. I told them I didn't nail anything down, but we spoke about it and I was told that it was a possibility. So I don't like being accused of lying. I'm not a liar.
I'm not
And
saying you
then
lied.
there's a
You
lot of,
told
no,
me
I'm
they
just
were
telling you
staying
what I,
there all weekend.
no, I'm talking about being accused. of
Mayor,
lying.
point of order.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Point
sorry.
of order, please, ma'am. This is ridiculous. We're having a discussion. I'm not getting on you, ma'am. I'm just saying this has gotten out of hand.
I'm sorry, but to your answer, we have a commissary we will use if we can't use the very close one. We will, but we will use, again, the
So they
Harris
will
County Health
leave
Code.
to dispose of.
Yeah, whatever the Harris County Health Code requires,
Okay.
we are going to follow 100%. I mean, they have to, they lose their license. Again, the business owners have more invested in this than anyone else to adhere to these rules. So it's that's the part that's confusing to me. That y'all think they maybe don't care, they're willy-nilly about it, just like us and our insurance and everything we have to have those things to continue to do business. We're more interested in that than anybody and doing things the right way.
Okay, so now these mobile food vendors will be registered with the city and they register with the city
Not if
secretary.
they're
is that-
establishing a mobile food court.
Okay,
This would be under what they're proposing as a mobile food court.
okay,
If it were a commissary, if it were to be just a stationary, they would have to register with the city secretary's office, but that requires them to not be stationary more than 4 hours. They have to have permission from the property owner. They have to have their own electricity. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of restrictions.
so
but it's
that's where
separate.
I'm lost here because my understanding of a mobile food court is more permanence to that and including a solid slab that these trucks are on. And I've
They'll-
not heard of any discussion of that. Is that? in-
Correct. So they'll have to follow all of the rules and regulations that go along with the mobile food court. So
Okay.
we would just be at this time approving that the mobile food court could occur here because due to the fact that they have to do a conditional use permit. And then they would subsequently have to follow all the rules and regulations laid out under 50-116, which lays all those, they have to have a concrete pad, they have to have a certain distance between one another, they have to have those portable receptacles, et cetera, et cetera.
you aware of this?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so that's the only reason we looked, y'all have a thing online that shows all the things needed and we checked them off. I mean, but we have everything needed that it requires. There's a sitting area. You have to have some parking, which is not required because of where we are, the 10-foot spacing between them. And that's the rules that y'all set out in the thing that y'all have on y'all's website. So we looked at those, checked them off, and we're good to go. But you have to have the CPU, the special permitter, to proceed further. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea, and I think mobile food trucks are very popular, and you know, we see them come in town and leave and stuff like that. I do have the same concerns that Councilman Stoll has in terms of the sanitation, the hand washing and stuff like that, because you really need, I mean, these trucks need hot water, they need
Yeah.
cold water.
Yeah, they're on, they have that stuff built on.
People that are gonna be eating crawfish
Right.
or whatever need those same requirements. So.
Yeah, they're required to have sinks on board and everything,
Yeah,
just like.
so I just think, I think the idea is great. I think it needs a little more development before I'm comfortable with the sanitation piece of it. And just, you know, and Nathan, you said that, you know, we'll get the CUP and then we'll make all these specifications that we require to operate a food court. I mean, I think it's backwards, in my opinion. I think you need to get everything in place, then.
But then if someone says you're a liar and you don't get approved, you've spent a lot of money and you didn't get it gone through.
Well,
So
I
that's
mean-
tough to do that before you.
I
get
mean,
approved from
I'm
the
not
council.
here to make people
Yeah.
spend a lot of money and then say, no, I'm not gonna approve the project.
Yeah.
I'm
But it could happen.
here to, well, it could happen, but you know, I would never vote against something that if somebody followed all the rules, followed all the specifications, invested all the money, and then, you know.
But we can't even,
And then.
we can't start those things without the CPU. So it's, but again, I understand your.
So I think you're not quite there yet.
We can't
Call
get there
for the
without.
vote.
Is there anything, we're not voting right now, we're in a
I'm sorry,
public
I'm sorry,
hearing.
my bad, my
Okay.
bad.
Please.
And I had the floor, so.
I'm sorry.
I-
This is ridiculous.
It is, I agree, but for different reasons.
Okay.
But this is a public hearing. And so
sorry.
if there's no other discussion, we're going to close the public hearing at eight. Okay, okay, if you wanted to come, you want to come up and speak, please. Then we will close the public hearing, name and address.
Gretchen Fagan, 1314 Pine Brook. And I just wanted to say for the record, all of our food trucks do register with the city. The actual application that with the city secretary's office says at the top of it, it is registration for a mobile food court truck.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, so they were saying that ours don't have to register, and we do. And I would just ask the question, how many have registered with the city in the last 4 years? And
Food truck courts?
no, the food trucks themselves. If I just drive my food truck into Tomball, I need this registration. And I would just ask the question, how many have registered? And what I was told in the past is 0 have ever registered with the city. Yeah, other than ours. And ours are the ones that are there permanently. So that was it.
Mayor, I'd like to apologize. I did not know we were still in public deal, so I apologize.
Apology accepted. Okay, so we are closing the public hearing now at 8:27 and 8:37, sorry. 8:39, you want that? Okay. 8:39. And we are taking now a motion and a vote on,
Doctor, you gotta
To-
call for,
oh yeah, motion,
yeah, motion to adopt a first reading only.
right,
Or first reading. Caption, yeah, like that.
by caption only, yes.
So moved.
Right. It's a motion to adopt on first reading ordinance number 2023-05
Caption only.
by caption only. Correct.
Randy,
And we are voting for it's just to read right now. Okay,
So moved.
Second.
okay, call for the vote.
Just to read, correct.
Yes.
Three.
Motion carries unanimously. Ordinance number 2023-05, an ordinance of the city of Tomball, Texas, amending chapter 50 zoning of the Tomball Code of Ordinances by issuing a conditional use permit for mobile food court, approximately 0.46 acres of land legally described as being lot 17 to 24 and block 18 of the revised map of Tomball, located at the southwest corner of Commerce Street and Oak Street at 401-409 Commerce Street within the city of Tomball, Harris County, Texas, providing for the amendment of the official zoning map of the city, providing for severability, providing for penalty of an amount not to exceed 2,000 for each day violation of any provision hereof, making findings of fact and providing for other related matters.
Okay, thank you. Now, is there a motion to adopt on first reading ordinance number 2023-04? And with all the talk that is going around, I want to make sure that everyone understands what we are exactly voting on. So Nathan, would you please?
Sure. So we are requesting to vote on whether there can be a mobile food court at this particular location in conjunction with the open air market. So with that, the mobile food court would have conditions or the following conditions were a factor of this approval, which is hours of operation of 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. No more than 4 mobile food vendors shall be permitted in total on these lots specified in this location. Restroom facilities must be provided during the mobile food court hours of operation, and said restrooms must be provided on site or within adjacent businesses located within the boundaries of this conditional use permit. Portable restrooms facilities are not allowed or they are prohibited. An opaque fence wall must be provided along the western boundary of lot 17, in line with the code of ordinances for the city of Tomball. Mobile food truck vendors must adhere to the non-residential setbacks. And then also, it's not called out within these conditions, but it also must follow all of the mobile food truck rules and regulations as set forth within section 50-116. In addition to that, there was an amendment that was approved to go along with a no amplified music on the outside or during this or for this location at all. I believe that wraps it up.
So you have a motion? On what we're voting on?
Motion.
You have a second?
Second.
Call for the vote.
Discussion.
Oh, discussion.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Um,
Discussion.
Section 5, first sentence contains the same issue of invitations versus limitations.
Yes, sir. We'll get that adjusted.
Thank you, Councilman. Call for the vote.
Motion denied.
Okay. The following item is hereby added to the previously posted agenda for the regular city council meeting on Monday, March 20th. The next item is the agenda is executive session. The city council will meet in executive session as authorized by Title 5, Chapter 551, Government Code, Texas Open Meetings Act for the following purposes: consultation with city attorney regarding matters in which the attorney's duty requires to be discussed in closed session, deliberations regarding real property, personnel matters, deliberation of the appointment, employment, and duties of a public officer or employee HR director, and deliberations regarding economic development. Let the record show that it is 8:44 p.m. We will be taking a 5-minute recess, only 5. 5-minute recess, and then we'll be going into executive session. We will be coming back after executive session just to address item number 14, which is the employment of a human resource officer, and then we will be adjourning. So, thank you. Let the record show that it is now 9:35 and PM, 4 PM, and we are now back in session. Our next item is we're going to confirm the appointment by the city manager of Christy Lewis Esquire as a human resource officer effective March 27th, 2023.
Director.
Director.
Mayor
David?
and Council, as we discussed, we've been searching for an HR director now for almost 9 months, and I think Mary Jo can tell you exactly to the date how long it's been. We believe we found a very, very capable and qualified candidate in Christie, and so I ask for your confirmation of my appointment.
Okay. Do we need to consider Mary Jo just going ahead and hiring her back? And over.
I'm.
All in favor of, okay, this is off the record.
Nothing's off the
You've
record.
done a great job.
Being recorded.
Is there a motion to confirm appointment by the city manager of Christy Lewis Esquire as a human resource director effective March 27th, 2023?
Motion.
Sir,
Second.
okay. Call for the vote. Oh, discussion.
So didn't we want to have that qualifying statement about the SHRM certification in this? That she gets this?
Well, it's not approving the actual offer letter or just to confirm the appointment, but absolutely, as we discussed, and that we would
Okay.
make that a provision.
Only because you won't stay.
Yeah. I'm still mad about that.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
No.
Motion.
Discussion. Call for the vote.
Mine won't open. She's already shut down.
We stand adjourned. Thank you.
Long and have.